subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Few people who can become powerful pirates. Lieutenant General, he asked with a gloomy expression. How to deal with Marine from the 16th branch of the East China Sea now, and what to do with Eren. After all, he is the person that the Shichibukai pirate Jinbei wants to protect. Garp said angrily. The presence of these people in Marine is a disgrace to Marine. Of course, all the members of Branch 16 must be eliminated, and they will even be held accountable. As for Eren, the pirate protected by Jinbei, who committed such a heinous crime, of course he will be executed directly. Even Sengoku had an angry expression. Those people have really disgraced Marine. I didn't expect that a moth would appear in Marine. But if they were eliminated so easily, where would we recruit so many Marines? So we'd better send a new branch colonel and make sure to improve military discipline. And Eren, I'd better imprison him in Impel Down City. Otherwise, the world government will think that I'm destroying the Kiwuhai system. Garp was very dissatisfied, so he picked up the plate with senbei on the table and poured it into his mouth. Sengoku, can those worm Marines still protect civilians? Isn't the punishment for the dragon too light? Such a person should be beaten to death with his iron fist. After all, they all committed capital crimes, especially that Eren. Warring States said helplessly, although they have made mistakes, give them a chance to atone. As for locking Eren into Impel Down City, his suffering will not be easier than killing him directly. Garp said nothing more. He knew what Sengoku said was true. Impel Down is a hellish place for pirates, and it would be quite nice to let such a hateful pirate be tortured there. Lieutenant General, he did not object. She thinks this method of handling it is very good. After all, Eren has already been let go once because of Haixia Jinbei, so of course he can't let him go again. Warring States' fleet admiral was determined enough. Even so, he did not kill the evil dragon and had an explanation for the sea hero Jinbei. Of course, there is also an explanation to the world government. Their original duty as Marine is to capture pirates. Letting Eren go once before would have violated Marine's duty. But that was done under the instructions of the world government. It is for the Shichibukai system that Haixia Jinbei will join Shichibukai. Now, there is one more problem to solve. This incident has greatly damaged Marine's reputation. Such a scandal must not be leaked. I have ordered the insiders of Branch 18 to keep the good news secret. Of course, there's also the little girl who killed Colonel Marine. Sengoku, what do you think of dealing with it? He still admires the little girl who killed the Dragon Pirates. Eren of the Dragon Pirates has a bounty of 20 million Baileys, which is second to none in the East China Sea. She didn't expect that a little girl could actually kill him, so she continued to suggest. I think this is a very outstanding child. If there's a chance, I want to recruit her into Marine and train her well. Maybe she can become the top combat force of Marine, like Momosagi's alternate general. Yes, Momosagi is a Marine candidate for general. Although his current military rank is still a lieutenant general, in terms of strength, he can definitely become a general. Compared with the current 3 generals, they are only a little weaker. It can still deter those big pirates. Sengoku agreed with Lieutenant General Tsuru to protect Marine's reputation. There's nothing to object to. If Marine's reputation is ruined and the world no longer believes in Marine, how can Marine maintain justice for the sea? However, he thought carefully about the second half of Lieutenant General He's words and felt that it was very feasible. Xiaohe, you are right. But the behavior of this little girl, named Minato, who killed Colonel Marine, must be dealt with properly. Then if you finish it off and release her, maybe you can successfully let her join Marine. Lieutenant General, he agreed with this approach. After putting her in prison and releasing her, she would probably be grateful to herself. This is a good plan. Garp on the side was unhappy. Sengoku, are you out of your mind? You just killed a Marine who dared to collude with pirates. Such a Marine is simply more hateful than a pirate. Those civilian pirates have been abused by pirates, and the only one who can save them is Marine. Is it a sin to kill such a Marine? I will kill such a Marine if I see one. Minato is not rewarded, but punished instead. Are you crazy? As for Zaizuru's proposal, I think it is feasible. If a little girl like this joins, she will indeed become a powerful marine like Momosaji. Chapter 27. Garp returns to the East China Sea. Sengoku looked at this old guy, Garp, speechlessly. This guy was really bold and had no manners at all towards his Marine Fleet Admiral. It's been like this since a long time ago. Even though he is a Marine Fleet Admiral, Garp doesn't take himself seriously. Making him angry and helpless, he explained, "This is Marine's rule. Even if the Marine Colonel is at fault, he should be dealt with by us instead of being killed casually. If this happens, Marine's justice will be gone. Of course, I know she did the right thing, so I just need to arrest her and serve 3 months in prison, which is a symbolic punishment. Then Xiaohua will step in and take care of it." Lieutenant General, he also supports this approach. If others are allowed to kill Marine, then our Marine's face will really be lost, which will make Marine powerless. After all, we are the law enforcers of the sea, and the power of law enforcement must be in our own hands. It's just Sengoku. Who can deal with that little girl? There are not many people in the East China Sea who could defeat the dragon pirates. Are you going to send a lieutenant general from the headquarters? Garp saw that Xiaohua also supported it and no longer objected. It's just a symbolic sentence, and Xiaohua comes forward, so the detention time is probably not too long. So this is feasible. Although he still felt that Minato was innocent, it also reminded him of his grandson, Luffy. This stubborn boy must control his temper. Otherwise, he will become a pirate like Ace, and he will have a headache. I have to go back when I have time, and I have to suppress it, so I decided. You have to go back and give him a loving fist. At this time, Sengoku was thinking about Xiaohua's words, but he was unwilling to send anyone from his headquarters, because although Lieutenant General Marine had many people, but the whole world needs to be maintained, and it still seems a bit weak. Naturally, it is impossible to send them to a small place like the East China Sea. That would be a waste of huge combat power. He said with a smile, "Go and notify Smoker in Rogue Town. If you meet Minato, just catch her. He is the 4th Logia Devil Fruit user in Marine. Even this one is in the East China Sea. No matter how strong the little girl is, she probably hasn't mastered the armed domineering force, so she should be able to win with certainty. Facing Logia users, without armed haki, they would not even have the ability to resist. The person with Logia ability will win 100% of time, because users with the Logia Devil Fruit ability can naturalize. Their haki attacks will be completely ineffective if they are not armed." Lieutenant General, he immediately agreed after hearing what he said. "Okay, then I would inform this guy Smoker. He's still a disciple of the former General Zifa. It's a pity Zifa. Zifa is a retired general. Unfortunately, his arm was cut off by pirates. He can only serve as the instructor of the Marine Recruit Training Camp, training Marine talents, but he still has many disciples. Not only the 3 generals, but also many elite lieutenant generals of the headquarters are his disciples." After speaking, Lieutenant General, he withdrew. As Chief of Staff, she certainly had the means to contact Smoker. Of course, she will also tell Smoker to take good care of Minato this time, or at least be gentle. After all, this is her beloved future disciple. After Xiaohua left, Garp stuffed the remaining sunbae directly into his mouth and muttered, "Warring states, it's time for me to leave. By the way, I should tell you that I am no longer on the Great Waterway recently, but have returned to my hometown in the East China Sea." Sengoku was very angry when he saw that Garp actually ate all his favorite delicacies, sunbae. "Why did you eat all the sunbae?" The angry look disappeared instantly. After all, he knew what kind of temper Garp had, especially when facing an old friend like him. He didn't give him any face. He said, adjusting his glasses, "If I had known that your kid was going to go, I wouldn't have had to order Smoker. With your intervention, I should be able to catch that little girl and bring her to justice." Garp's armed domination ranks first among Marines, and even he is probably not that powerful. Lieutenant General Marine, who can fight Roger, is more than capable of capturing a little girl. Garp frowned and said disdainfully, "Warring states, what do you think of me? That little girl is innocent at all, and I don't want to arrest her at all. It would be a shame for me to capture a little girl. Of course it would be a big pirate." Warring states did not look disappointed after hearing this, but instead proposed a deal with a calm face. If you can catch her, you can eat sunbae anytime you come to my place. With his salary, he can still afford sunbae, even though Garp has a huge appetite. Garp's eyes lit up after hearing this. Then it's settled. If I encounter one, I will catch it and hand it over to Xiao He for disposal. Arresting such a little girl is not simple and easy. Naturally, he was happy to see that Marine had an excellent junior. Nowadays, the new generation of Marine is not enough. To be honest, the older generation of Marine are very strong, and the middle-aged generation also has the support of the 3 Marine generals, as well as the top lieutenant generals. But after this, the new generation could be said to have no successors, and there are no guys who can take a fancy to them at all. After saying that, Garp left the Fleet Admiral office. He had to go back and board his dog-headed warship. Also taking him back was his deputy, Bogart. I wonder if this kid, Luffy, has sneaked out to become a pirate. If he has become a pirate, he should really be put in prison. Chapter 28, Windless Zone, Dongheliuoj Town. This is where One Piece Joel Roger was executed. It is a nearby town where the East China Sea enters the Great Waterway, which naturally attracts pirates to pay homage to One Piece's final execution place. It is an extremely important place. So Marine naturally sent Smoker, a very powerful Logia Devil Fruit user, to guard this place. Possessing the power of the Logia Devil Fruit, he is extremely terrifying to these ungrown pirates. With Smoker's combat prowess, he is fully qualified to serve as a lieutenant general in the headquarters, because he is a Logia Devil Fruit user. Yes, Devil Fruit users are so awesome. This ability is rare even in the New World. In Marine's office in the town, Smoker made a promise to Lieutenant General He with a speechless expression. Lieutenant General He, I will arrest her and imprison her for 3 months. Then hung up the phone bug. His face was very ugly. He didn't expect that the scary little girl Minato who had offered a reward of 10 million Baileys was actually framed. The Colonel Marine she killed actually colluded with pirates, which was really a scandal for Marine. He didn't expect that the little girl was the one who saved the villagers who were harmed by the dragon pirates. Such behavior made him awe-inspiring. Dasky, who was wearing glasses, big eyes, and short black hair, was also a little emotional. I didn't expect it to be like this. He Zhong is very fond of Minato and wants her to join our Marine. To be honest, she was a little envious because that was Lieutenant General He. She has a very high status in Marine and is one of the few female Marines who can hold a high position. She is the staff officer of Marine headquarters. This position is more powerful and important than the Lieutenant General of the headquarters. Being able to reach this position shows that she is a very capable female Marine, and she is afraid that she may not reach the position of Marine Lieutenant General in this life. The reason why she was detained for 3 months was to temper Minato's temperament. Although Colonel Mouse is very hateful, of course he cannot be dealt with by civilians, but should be left to Marine. Although it's a bit unkind, it still has to be done. These are the rules. Otherwise, everything will be messed up. She looked at Colonel Smoker and asked, Colonel, when are you going to set off to arrest Watergate? Smoker lit a cigar, leaned on his chair, and said nonchalantly, Who knows where Minato is? How can I catch him? Let's wait until we meet him later. I guess it's impossible for a person like Minato to stay in the East China Sea. After hearing this, Dasky thought it made sense. Just how will Lieutenant General He deal with it? Smoker said nonchalantly, Just answer truthfully, what else can I do? After all, the town of Rog that I protect is equally important. If I'm not here and Rogue Town is invaded by pirates, the whole Marine's facade will be lost. I can still tell the difference. When Dasky saw this, she said nothing more. After all, this place is very important. Otherwise, we wouldn't have sent such a colonel down. It is said that he was once an elite member of the Marine recruit camp and a Logia Devil Fruit user. You must know that Marine's other 3 Devil Fruit ability users all belong to the 3 generals, who can intimidate the entire sea and frighten the pirates in the New World. The future Colonel Smoker will probably be able to reach that position. On a small boat in the waters near Rog Town, a man wearing a black and red hat and eagle eyes was rowing a long black knife, preparing to enter the Great Channel through the Windless Zone. Although there are a large number of Poseidon species in the Windless Zone, it can be said to be very dangerous. Almost no pirate ships can pass through, and the only ones that can effectively pass through are Marines. But with Hawkeye's swordsmanship, there is no fear at all. Even the strongest pirate type will be cut in half under his sword. The smell of blood will soon attract other Poseidon species, so he can get through unscathed. Before returning to his home, he planned to meet the redhead. I didn't expect that I would meet such an interesting guy during this trip to the East China Sea. It wasn't just the straw hat Luffy that the red-haired man often mentioned to himself. The red-haired man actually handed a straw hat to the boy. Hawkeye knew what that straw hat meant. If he remembered correctly, that straw hat seemed to be worn on the head of former One Piece Goel Roger. The red hair passed the straw hat to that person, the meaning of which is self-evident. I want to take a good look at him, but I didn't expect that a young boy would dare to fight with me, without even realizing the gap between me and him. But the result was unexpected. He saw the determination of the young swordsman, a determination that was not even afraid of death, and a persistence in the art of swordsmanship. As long as such young people don't die, they will definitely become great swordsmen in the future. As for whether he can become his opponent, that is yet to be determined. This is confidence in yourself. But he is still dissatisfied with his swordsmanship because the strongest man in the world is Whitebeard. Although he has the title of the world's greatest swordsman, he is only in the field of swordsmanship. His swordsmanship will surely surpass that of the strongest man in the world. He still has a long way to go. At this time, a small boat sailed slowly from the windless zone. This surprised him greatly. On the boat was a young man with green tears on his face, wearing white clothes and a sword at his waist, just standing quietly with his hands in his pockets. The small boat sailed towards the East China Sea as if it could move on its own. This guy's outfit looks like he is a very powerful swordsman. Otherwise, how can we pass through the windless zone safely? As for luck, I passed through the windless zone without encountering the Poseidon class. This probability is close to zero. If a target as big as a small boat appears on the sea, those ferocious Poseidons will definitely open their mouths and swallow it. There's no doubt about it. Of course, an idea flashed through his mind. That is, this guy is a swordsman similar to himself. Otherwise, how could he have such a cold attitude? But think about it, this is impossible. This young man is only in his teens at most, definitely not yet an adult. At this age, he will definitely not be able to pass the windless zone, and he does not have the strength. Chapter 29, I have no interest in Kendo. The young man in black with short hair and white clothes on the boat had an indifferent expression on his face. This time he came out just to find his little sister Minato. Unexpectedly, this little guy actually sneaked out. She is the treasure of her father. That Orochimaru brother also sneaked out. Immediately afterwards, the little girl disappeared. Probably she sneaked out with Orochimaru. As for brother Orochimaru, he is not worried. His strength is still good, especially the East China Sea, the weakest sea. Even in the New World, he has the ability to protect himself. After all, he is Grandmaster Ninjutsu. Of course, there is also his magical substitute technique, the Orochimaru-style substitute technique. It can be said to be a miraculous, life-saving ability. Even if you are fatally injured, you can still use it at a critical moment. Use the external body as a substitute to transfer yourself from the mouth without the need for seals. But that little girl is different. After all, she is only 5 or 6 years old. Although she has the Grandmaster S-level ninjutsu, flying thunder god technique, people outside are complicated. She is still too naive and easily deceived. That's why her father asked him to bring her back. At this time, the waves on the sea became rough, and even the boat began to shake violently. A huge shadow appeared under the water, but his face remained calm. Also seeing this scene was Mihawk, whose expression became serious. Sure enough, it was impossible to cross the windless zone without attracting the attention of Poseidons. Those ferocious Poseidons will attack even pirate ships. Poseidons are terrifying creatures to ordinary people. Even the people on the small boat in front of them may be buried in the belly of the fish. Although he is not a good person, he will not watch such a scene appear in front of him. Holding the black knife with one hand, he was ready to kill the fish the moment it came out. In just a few seconds, the shadow under the sea grew bigger and bigger, It jumped out of the sea with its huge mouth wide open and bit into the small boat. Is a giant fish of the class Poseidon. It looks very cruel. At this moment, Ulquiorra drew the sword from his waist. He swung out behind him with lightning speed. A huge green slash struck directly at the Poseidon behind him. The huge Poseidon was instantly cut in half. The body fell into the sea water, causing a huge splash. But the water splashed onto the boat, but it seemed as if there was an invisible medium blocking the boy's side and did not wet his body. This is his spiritual pressure protection. Mihawk, who was about to take action, looked extremely shocked. He was actually able to wield such a powerful slash that he could kill a Poseidon with just one blow. It's really scary. It doesn't mean that the opponent's strength has reached his level. Is this the level of swordsmanship that a young man should have? This level of swordsmanship is at least a very powerful swordsman, even reaching the level of a great swordsman. The sword swing is clean and neat, without any unnecessary movements, and it is extremely fast. Being able to swing such a slashing attack shows that the young man is physically very strong. The most important thing is his calmness. Even having such strength at this age did not make him proud. It shows that the opponent is not an ordinary swordsman genius, but a truly terrifying swordsmanship genius. Only true swordsmanship geniuses would not be happy about making such a terrifying blow. This kind of thing is commonplace for them. Thinking of this, Eagle Eye's mood suddenly became a little surging. I didn't expect to meet such a terrifying young master of swordsmanship in the East China Sea. He was much more powerful than Zoro's swordsman, and might not be on the same level at all. Although Zoro has a strong will to pursue the peak of swordsmanship without fear of death, but he is obviously an adult. Although his strength may be a bit strong in a small place like the East China Sea, if thrown into the new world of the Great Channel, any swordsman who comes out will be much stronger than him. Not even as good as the chimpanzee kendo near his home. Although it may be because he was born in the hotbed of the East China Sea that his strength is not strong enough. Hawkeye still cannot see the factors that make Zoro comparable to him. But he can see this hope in the young man in front of him. Given a few more years, maybe this young man in front of him will have the strength to challenge himself. At this time, the young man rode past him and asked with cold eyes, "Uncle, please tell me, have you ever seen a beautiful little girl with blonde hair?" She looks about 5 or 6 years old. This is the East China Sea, and the scope is really too large. Searching alone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. You can only ask the people you meet to see if you can find any clues. Hawkeye's excitement suddenly disappeared because he heard the other party's name. You actually called him uncle? This made him feel a little depressed. Is he that old? But I didn't care too much in my heart. I haven't seen it. However, looking at your attack just now, do you also want to become the world's greatest swordsman? To be able to have such a strong swordsmanship must have been practiced since childhood. Without the love for swordsmanship and the persistence of becoming the best in the world, I am afraid there would be no such strong swordsmanship. Ulquiorra was expressionless after hearing this. I have no interest at all in becoming the world's best swordsman or in kendo. Since I don't know, then I will leave. Then the boat gradually moved forward. This is, of course, the propulsion ability he gives the ship using his Ryatsu. In fact, he could have flown directly, but his father told him not to be too ostentatious in the outside world. And the flying ability must be very amazing to the outside world. People with the ability to fly are extremely rare in this world. Flying out of thin air will definitely attract the attention of interested people who want to study how it is done. Therefore, it is not possible to fly directly to avoid causing trouble to the family. Although he felt that his father's worries were unnecessary, because the father is invincible. Even a world government or pirates he was worried about were no threat at all. Chapter 30 Ulquiorra versus Hawkeye. After hearing his words, Hawkeye was surprised. What do you mean? He's not interested in kendo. How can kendo be so scary for people who are not interested in kendo? Even practice to the point where you can swing a flying slash at will? He couldn't believe it all. Doesn't that mean that the other party's swordsmanship talent is better than yours? He has never seen anyone who is better than him in swordsmanship. Not even the red-haired Shanks who has dueled with him several times. Maybe Hong Fa's all-round strength can surpass him. But in terms of swordsmanship alone, he will never be his opponent. So he is the world's #1 swordsman, and Hong Fa is one of the 4 emperors of the sea. Hawkeye asked with great displeasure, "Are you kidding? If you are not interested in kendo, how could you have such a strong kendo?" This kind of swordsmanship means that a genius has been practicing since childhood. Otherwise, it would not be possible to have such a profound swordsmanship. This is definitely not something that talent alone can bring about. Ulquiorra looked at him coldly. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. Kendo is too childish and unrefined. He has recently mastered a new ability called virtual ability, which is much more useful than his sword. The one that allows him to emit virtual flashes can condense spiritual pressure into ray flashes. He once mentioned to his father that this was his special ability. Every time a father gives birth to a child, the child can inherit a template, and some templates have virtual abilities. The ability is above the ninja template, and even above some Shinigami templates, except for the top Shinigami template in a certain series. For example, Brother Aizen and Brother Jinryusai. However, according to his father, if his abilities were developed to a very high level, he might not be able to fight against these 2 brothers. However, he had no intention of confronting the 2 of them. After all, it belongs to a family, and as long as it can make the family strong, he will be happy. After hearing what he said, Mihawk's face froze. The anger in his heart kept rising. How dare you say that kendo is for children? You must know that this is your lifelong pursuit and cannot be trampled by others. Furthermore, swordsmanship in the sea also belongs to a branch of a major power system. In terms of attack power, it is not weaker than those powerful devil fruit abilities on the sea. This is why he insists on swordsmanship and has no pursuit of devil fruit abilities. Look at the young man in front of you. He said grimly, "Duel with me, and I will show you what the best swordsmanship is on the sea." After saying that, he held Heideoi with one hand, and a strong sword power burst out from his body. Normally, he would not even bother to fight with someone who is not the top swordsman in the sea. Now this person's insult to kendo has aroused his anger. He must let the other person understand that kendo is not for children. Ulquiorra said nonchalantly, "I have no interest in dueling you. I still have things to do." Their father also asked them not to cause trouble outside unless they were in danger, so as not to expose the family and let others take notice. Although he didn't think there would be anything wrong with being targeted, he would still follow his father's orders. After saying that, his boat sailed out again. When Hawkeye saw his indifferent attitude, he became even more angry. He directly waved the black knife Yi and rushed towards a young man in front of him with a terrifying black slash. The terrifying slash even opened a gaping hole in the sea. Said coldly, "If you don't fight me today, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave." He had already planned to teach this young man a lesson for looking down on swordsmanship so much. Then teach the opponent a good lesson in the swordsmanship that the opponent despises. Ulquiorra was not frightened by this terrifying blow, but looked at the man coldly. This person took action against him, so naturally his action would not be considered a violation of his father's order. Sure enough, he drew his sword again. Then he turned around and suddenly waved out with one hand. A green slash quickly headed towards the black slash. The 2 terrifying slashes collided in the air. Then both were annihilated, and their power was completely consumed. Eagle Eye was a little surprised when he saw this scene. Even if it was an ordinary blow of his own, he could actually block it completely. Even the other party was just like him, slashing with one hand casually. This fully shows that the opponent's swordsmanship has reached the level of a great swordsman. But this made him angry. He casually swung out another black slash towards the opponent. "Since you have such power, why do you despise the sword?" Ulquiorra looked at the flying slash and swung a green slash to meet it. The colliding slashes were both wiped out again. Do you despise kendo? He had never despised the way of the sword. Pure swordsmanship is too weak. Even if the spiritual pressure slash he wields is powerful, it is not that strong. Even his brothers Aizen and Jinryusai are definitely not so terrifying because of their pure swordsmanship, but because of their powerful Zanpakuto abilities. But the guy in front of me can collide with him, and he doesn't feel like an original resident of the East China Sea. Who are you? There can't be such a person in the East China Sea. He remembered that his father once mentioned that the East China Sea is a famous weak sea. At least that's the case at this stage. Mihawk directly reported his name. Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. The name Seven Warlords of the Sea was not in his eyes at all. So naturally, he did not apply for it. This name just makes it easier for him to do things without being chased and intercepted by Marine, and brings him a peaceful life. He continued to wield flying slashes, and must teach the opponent a lesson of contempt for the way of the sword. This time the slash was more powerful. Ulquiorra knew this name. It turned out to be Hawkeye, the world's greatest swordsman. No wonder he had such power. Facing Hawkeye's terrifying continuous slashes, he used his own saber to block them one by one. Now he's somewhat interested. He wanted to see what the top strong man in the sea that his father was afraid of actually had. And at the same time, he also used a green slash. The two sides fought together like this. At this time, countless terrifying slashes came out on the sea, cutting the entire sea. Both sides launched terrifying flying slashes. If they didn't collide and cancel each other out, then such power could easily tear a hole in the sea. Chapter 31 Black-Winged Demon. The more Hawkeye fought, the more frightened he became. He never expected that this young man's swordsmanship would be so strong and lasting. He doesn't look like a teenager at all. Instead, he looks like a veteran swordsman. The opponent's body is very strong. Otherwise, he would not have such endurance. There are not many people on the sea who can compete with me in swordsmanship like this. The power of his casual strike is at least at the level of a great swordsman. He no longer regards the other party as a junior. Rather, he is a very powerful swordsman-level opponent. The battle lasted for more than 10 minutes, and the fight between the two gradually subsided. The sea area around the two people gradually returned to calm. Hawkeye looked at the boy. He is definitely a prodigy in swordsmanship. Up to now, the young man still looks calm and heartless, just like himself, which shows that the other party still has quite a lot of energy left. Asked rather puzzled, why do you think that kendo is just a trick when you have such kendo? With the strength of the other party, he can dominate even in the new world. Just don't mess with those monster-level characters. Even when facing other kawaii, there is no problem in retreating safely, not to mention defeating the opponent, as long as you don't commit suicide. It's not that he is bragging. He feels that his strength is still on a higher level than other Shichibukai. This young man fought with himself to such an extent that he could naturally leave peacefully in the hands of others. But you must know that he is only a teenager now. If he takes a few years, his swordsmanship may still improve. I'm afraid I will only be worse than myself at that time. But facing other Kiwahai, we may be quite sure of victory. Of course, it is still impossible to defeat yourself. This is not to boast, but because my combat power is already at the top of the world, even though it is only one of the top. Ulquiorra looked at the other person indifferently. Have you underestimated kendo? He seems to be a guy obsessed with kendo. He had no intention of looking down on kendo. But I feel that the power of pure swordsmanship is too weak. It is very weak without other special abilities. No matter how powerful the sword is, it will be burned to ashes in Raijin Jaka, Jinryusai's brother. Even the strongest swordsmanship can't defeat Aizen's brother's Kaika, Suigetsu. He said coldly, "You are too insignificant. You have never seen any real power. If you don't want to die, just walk away." Although Su's abilities are not fully mastered, he can still exert them reluctantly. The Black Void flash displayed has very terrifying destructive power, which cannot be competed by abilities of the level of swordsmanship. When Mihawk heard what this young man said, his face was stunned, and then he became angry. What's the meaning? Do you compare yourself to a young boy who is just starting out and doesn't know the heights of the world? Just like the Zoro I met before, don't you know the real difference between the swordsman of the East China Sea and the best in the world? What a joke. He is the one who stands at the top of this world. And even if this young man is very powerful, he is just getting started. Who says he has never seen the real, terrifying strength on the sea? His own swordsmanship is the truly terrifying strength in the sea. Of course, there is Whitebeard, the truly terrifying ability that shakes the world, red-haired Shank's terrifying conqueror's domination, and Kaido and Charlotte Lean Lean's terrifying physiques. Marine hero Garp's invincible armament and dominance. Who says he hasn't seen it before? Although he has not interacted with many of these people except for the red hair, it does not prevent him from knowing and seeing them. This young man's tone must be too loud. Now he was wondering if there was something wrong with this young man's brain. He has already told the other party his title as the world's greatest swordsman. Isn't the world's greatest swordsman a terrifying force? Don't you know what the world's greatest swordsman means? Then Mihawk calmed down. If I just wanted to teach the other party a lesson before, now I feel that I have been completely underestimated. He was about to get really serious. I will show you what it means to be the world's greatest swordsman. After saying this, the aura on his body was completely different, exuding a powerful and fierce aura. He didn't want to destroy the seedlings, but if the seedlings were too arrogant, I can only wish for happiness on my own. I hope he is strong enough to take his strongest blow and still save his life. Just when he was about to swing the black sword in his hand and strike with the sword of the world's strongest swordsman, but he saw the young man in white in front of him slowly stretched out his long sword, apparently not intending to wield a more terrifying slash. It was incredible for a moment. Are you planning to die? He couldn't understand why he didn't swing the black knife in his hand. At this moment, Ulquiorra shouted softly, "Seal it down, Blackwing Demon." In an instant, the entire sky turned dark and a cold and nihilistic aura filled the surrounding area. At this time, Ulquiorra had grown black demon wings. His hair had become longer, and the sword in his hand disappeared. He feels his current situation. It was indeed as powerful as he imagined. It is several times stronger than before. I'm not very good at controlling this ability, and I have not yet mastered the strongest ability. Logically speaking, he could use the Thunder Spear, but he found that he still couldn't condense it. This move could destroy a small island. Of course, he has mastered another kind of virtual flash. The virtual flash is just a simple condensation of spiritual pressure, and there is no need to use the Thunder Gun. He looked at the man indifferently. Now that I have seen this situation, I will kill the world's greatest swordsman today. In the past, when his brothers went to sea, almost everyone who saw their true abilities died. Therefore, their family did not cause any disturbance in this ocean, because everyone who has seen it is dead, and the person in front of him is already dead in his eyes. See my true power, and all you will receive is death. Chapter 32 Black Void Flash. When Hawkeye heard the other party's cold words, he sneered in his heart. It turns out that the other party is also serious about it. It seems that this is a kind of devil fruit ability. The wings growing from his back give people a feeling of death, and he can feel the void. This kid is really not simple. But now I just feel very funny in my heart, and the fighting spirit in my heart has been reduced a lot. I originally thought he was a swordsman genius, but unexpectedly he turned out to be a mediocre devil fruit user. Devil fruit can indeed give people very powerful power. In this world, many people rely on devil fruit abilities to become top masters. For example, the 3 Marine generals use their Logia devil fruit abilities proficiently enough to intimidate the entire sea. Another example is Kaido, who is also a devil fruit user, which gives him even more powerful combat power. But this kind of combat power has a flaw. That is, if it falls into the seawater, it will lose its mobility. As a result, it will naturally be just a lamb to be slaughtered. Of course, they are not just lambs waiting to be slaughtered. If no one comes to rescue them, they will fall into the sea and drown. But now they are on the sea, and the opponent has no chance of winning at all. All he has to do is cut off the opponent's ship. Then he will naturally fall into the water and be drowned. Of course, there is another situation. That is, the opponent has wings and may have the ability to fly, but it doesn't matter. Your sword can be cut within a few kilometers. Such a long distance is still within your attack range. So no matter what he does, he wins. He put down the raised black sword Yi and said with a sneer, "Do you think you could defeat the world's greatest swordsman with your devil fruit powers? You are the one who has never seen true power." Of course, he is qualified to say this. Even if he is facing the 3 Marine generals who are proficient in using the Logia fruit ability, or the Blue Dragon Kaido, who has the fish fruit of the phantom beast. He is still not weak, his sword can hurt the opponent, and if someone is not careful, he will be hacked to death. Ulquiorra remained expressionless. Do you actually think this is a devil fruit ability? Don't compare that kind of garbage power with my ability. You're going to die anyway, so I'll let you be a clear ghost. This is the power called virtuality. He slowly stretched out his right fingers, and suddenly energy gathered like black lightning. Suddenly, a terrifying black column of energy shot towards Mihawk. Hawkeye was stunned when he saw this scene. This move gave him a very dangerous feeling. All he had to do was hold the knife with both hands to block. The speed was really too fast. This blow directly destroyed the sea level in front and shot directly into the seabed. An extremely terrifying explosion occurred. The water splashed all over the sky, and the sea surface shook constantly, as if a tsunami had occurred. Ulquiorra's boat was shaking constantly, but he was still standing steadily, and the seawater stirred up in the sky was still unable to soak him up, because he had spiritual pressure to protect his body. Soon after, the sea level returned to calm. He controlled his spiritual pressure to push the boat forward. The world's #1 swordsman, Yin, caught his black void flash and must have died, with no chance of survival. He released the returning state. His wings disappeared, and his hair became shorter. There is a sword at his waist. This blow consumes a lot of him. After all, he has not fully controlled this power. However, his father had demonstrated it to him, and it was too powerful. The power he exerts now is just childish. I really don't understand why my father keeps the family low-key and has such terrifying power. Why are we afraid of pirates? And why are we afraid of world government? But to be able to keep his father so low-key, the world government must have some hidden tricks. He also knows that this world government has ruled the world for 800 years. The father's caution is warranted. My father is really far-sighted. I sincerely admire my father. And a few minutes after he left, a person suddenly appeared on the sea 1 kilometer away from where Hawkeye originally was. His original black hat was long gone, and even his clothes and cloak were in tatters. If you don't know better, you might think that he is a down-and-out beggar. Even at this moment, he still had a lot of scratches on his body. None other than Mihawk. At this time, he had a solemn and fearful look on his face. I was extremely shocked. How could this young man possess such terrifying moves? He was lucky enough to see Kaido and Charlotte Lean's terrifying moves. Even when comparing their strongest moves, there is still no concession. This terrifying ability shockwave. What devil fruit abilities does this boy have? It always feels like another terrifying devil fruit user has appeared on the sea. This kind of strength is definitely top-notch. At least in terms of attack power, it is no worse than Charlotte Lin and Hayakushi Kaido. No wonder this boy has the confidence to say that he has never seen real power. The guy who sent this blow is indeed qualified to say such a thing. Such a blow is no weaker than his strongest blow. What a scary boy. This guy shouldn't be from Donghai. It enters the East China Sea from the Great Channel through the windless zone. Where are you from? It seemed that the person had already left, probably because he thought he had died. Thinking of this, he felt a little bitter in his heart. He didn't expect that one day he would be so underestimated. How many years has this happened? Unexpectedly, this visit to the East China Sea really opened his eyes. The Zoro Luffy he met before was just a bit surprising to him. After all, Luffy took over the red-haired Straw Hat. The red-haired man must have had high hopes, and that guy was indeed as naive as the red-haired man. He will probably become a red-haired guy too. Zoro is not even afraid of death. So of course he is the destined candidate for the great swordsman. And the young man I met now was completely comparable to myself. This trip was not in vain. Chapter 33 shoot me just when Hawkeye had a sigh on his face. He sensed a creature approaching him on the right side of the sea. When I turned around, I saw a huge shadow on the bottom of the sea. What was it if it wasn't a giant Poseidon? Does it seem like the blood flowing from his scratches attracted them? His face became bitter again, and now his boat was also destroyed. It was really bad. Now it is a dilemma whether to swim back or to swim through the windless zone. Finally decided to swim over. If you return to the East China Sea, you may encounter passing ships. Mihawk, the world's best swordsman, would probably be laughed at if he were seen like this. That would be a loss of face for him. The reason why he killed the Krieg pirates of the East China Sea. It was precisely because the other party saw him rowing a boat at night with a black knife and was laughed at by them, even by the entire crew, that he chopped off all their boats. After thinking about it, I decided to head towards the windless zone. If I were lucky, I might be able to find a small island and build a raft out of wood. Just as he was thinking, the Poseidon rushed out of the water, opened its bloody mouth, and was about to swallow the tiny human in front of him. Mihawk swung a terrifying black slash directly at the giant Poseidon. The huge Poseidon was cut in half with a single blow. Soon its blood dyed the entire sea red, attracted several Poseidon species. Several Poseidons bit into the Poseidon corpse that was split into two halves. At this time, Hawkeye put away his black knife and headed towards the windless zone. Naturally, there are islands in the windless zone, and these islands are relatively safe. It will not be invaded by pirates. For example, the country of Hancock, the Empress of Shichibukai, is located on the windless island of Kuja. One day later, the Straw Hats who drove the melee and left Cocoa West Village soon set off toward the Grand Waterway. The original purpose was to take Nami into the Great Channel, but Nami couldn't become a pirate anymore. They knew the reason, so naturally they didn't force it. They were just temporarily disappointed and no longer sad about Nami. Not even Luffy. Even if Nami doesn't come on board to become his partner, he will definitely have more partners in the future. Now there are 3 partners: Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji. Swordsman, chef, sniper, and of course Usopp is also a navigator. He also needs a musician and a ship's doctor, which are standard equipment for a pirate ship. Of course, strong combatants are also essential. Usopp naturally didn't have any regrets. He deeply knows how hateful pirates are, and the pirate he wants to be is a righteous pirate, at least not an evil pirate, and wants to be famous in the world like his father. If someone is a bit disappointed, it might be Sanji. He still regrets it to this day. After all, Miss Nami is so cute. I hope she won't marry the little girl's father. Miss Nami is still so young. Although Nami didn't get on the boat, it's a pity. Maybe we can meet more beautiful ladies in the future. This will definitely happen. After they left Kokoja village, they went to a large town at Zoro's strong request. Zoro went ashore and bought 4 100-pound barbell plates for training. Now, he can't wait to start training. 2 100-pound barbell plates are fixed on the 2 barbell bars. He was ready to wave, but I found that I could only barely lift it up and was unable to squander it at all, even if he persists and puts pressure on himself. If you can't wave something like this, how can you catch up with Hawkeye? I'm afraid even the genius brothers mentioned by Minato can't catch up at all. Even with such determination, clenched teeth, a ferocious expression on his face, and protruding veins, he was unable to swing at all and could only barely lift it up. Usopp, who was controlling the rudder, looked at him like this and persuaded him. Zoro, don't be too hasty. Each side weighs 200 kilograms. It's too heavy. It's better to weigh 100 kilograms on each side. In fact, even if it is 100 kilograms, it is very heavy for him, and he cannot lift it at all. Zoro, who can lift a 400-pound barbell with both hands, is already amazing in his eyes and is a very reliable partner. Fortunately, the weapon he used was a slingshot, which didn't require much strength, just accuracy. Not only do you have to shoot accurately, but you also need to increase the power of the bullet. His future research directions will mainly focus on these 2 points. Suddenly, Zoro put down the 400-pound barbell. It's already very laborious just to lift it up, and it's impossible to swing it at all. Usopp is right. He should start swinging from 200 pounds. Just prepare to remove 1 barbell plate on each side. You should be able to swing it this way. Usopp believes that Zoro will definitely become a top swordsman in the future. For him, the stronger his partner, the happier he is. The destination he wants to sail to now is of course Rog Town. That was the place where One Piece was finally executed. This is the place where you pass into the Great Waterway. It is a must to visit such a place. Suddenly, Usopp saw a large ship sailing towards them in the distance, with a tiger skull logo hanging on the ship. Isn't this the flag of the pirate ship? He shouted in horror for a moment. Luffy, Zoro, "There's a pirate ship approaching us in the distance." His words made Luffy, who was lying on the deck, immediately stand up. Sanji, who was sitting on the chair, also had sharp eyes. Pirates? Coming towards them? I'm afraid they have bad intentions. Burning, killing, and looting on the sea is a common thing for pirates. I thought of Nami again and sighed softly. No wonder Nami didn't want to join the pirates. What a kind-hearted woman. But he has no choice. Now that he has joined the Straw Hat Pirates, he will not quit easily. Zoro also stopped training, came to Usopp's side with a word of peace in hand, and looked at the huge pirate ship from a distance. There were dozens of pirates standing on the deck, looking at them with a sneer, as if they were nothing but fish. At this moment, there was a pirate ship in the distance. A very stout man with a machete on his shoulder looked at the small pirate ship with a straw hat logo hanging in the distance. He immediately ordered to his crew, "Shoot me." Chapter 34, Air Wall. Suddenly, the gun door of the hull opened, and 4 cannons came out directly, with a booming sound. 4 cannonballs hit Luffy's pirate ship directly. Usopp was instantly frightened. These guys were firing on us. Although there are cannonballs on the melee, his primary responsibility now is to control the rudder to avoid being hit by the cannonballs. As for counterattack, we can only talk about it later. He visually checked the direction of the cannonball and immediately turned the steering wheel to avoid such an attack. Under his control, he could only avoid 2 shells, and 2 more were fired straight at them. Under this dangerous situation, Luffy looked at the 2 cannonballs and came directly to the edge of the fence, expanding his body like a wall. He was standing straight against the 2 attacking shells. The shells smashed into his body, but before they exploded, they were bounced away. One exploded in the air, and the other fell into the water and exploded, causing a huge splash. Zoro looked at Luffy, feeling a little helpless. This reminded him of Hawkeye, who could cut off a large pirate ship with 1 sword. Kendo also has long-range attacks, which are flying slashes. If he could use it now, the 2 cannonballs would not be able to get close to the ship and would have been cut in half and exploded in the air. But it's a pity that he can't use it. But as long as I use the barbell to train my arm strength, I think one day I will be strong enough to swing a flying slash. At that time, he should be able to reach the realm of swordsman. However, it is not that easy to reach this state. The captain of the pirate ship who ordered the cannon saw the boy wearing a straw hat suddenly swelled to a huge body. Startled, this is simply against the laws of nature. It is impossible for a person's belly to grow that big, so there's only one explanation, and that is the other person's ability to eat a devil fruit. You must know that the weakest devil fruit ability is worth 100 million belly. There are very few people with this kind of devil fruit ability in the East China Sea. Doesn't that mean the other party is a powerful pirate? If he were on land, he would be really afraid of the other party, but now it's at sea. Such a devil fruit user is simply a living target. As long as a ship is sunk into the sea, then this devil fruit user will be a lamb to be slaughtered. If you can kill the opponent, you will definitely get a good treasure. After all, he even has devil fruit powers. If you're lucky, you might even be able to get a devil fruit. Shouted excitedly, "Keep shooting me." At this time, I observed that the boat on the opposite side wanted to turn around and run away. The pirates became even more excited when they heard this. Yes, Captain Evil Tiger. There is the evil dragon pirates in the East China Sea, and they're the evil tiger pirates. At this time, Usopp had already controlled the Mary to turn around and prepare to run away. But I saw the other party catching up again, and they kept firing. Fortunately, those shells hit the sea on both sides and only caused huge waves. At this moment, Luffy spoke. "Usopp, what are you doing? Sail the boat to meet us. Since the other party is attacking us, watch me beat them away one by one." Being attacked all the time, he became angry. These guys are the culprits that prevented Nami from joining their pirate group. They're all evil pirates. Usopp was a little surprised, but after thinking about it, this might be the only solution. The opponent kept chasing him and kept firing. At the moment, the speed of the melee is not enough to get rid of them. Sooner or later, there will be a tough battle. Although I have few companions, they all have good skills. Luffy even defeated the great pirate named Krieg. It is said that his bounty was 17 million belly. The group of pirates in front of them cannot be as powerful as Krieg, so he immediately turned the ship around. At the same time, he reminded, be careful to block the cannonballs fired by the other party. I don't want the melee given to me by Kaya to be blown up. Luffy was unhappy after hearing this. The melee belongs to me, and I am the captain. You can just sail the boat, and I will stop those cannonballs. Zoro, Sanji, when the two ships get closer, come with me and beat these guys away. Sanji lit a cigarette and looked at the pirates with cold eyes. Don't worry, I will let these pirates taste my whip legs. He was not happy to be chased and attacked like this. Not to mention Zoro. Let these guys honestly become stepping stones to progress. Another skill to improve in swordsmanship is, of course, actual combat, especially against vicious pirates. He actually hoped that the other party would be more capable. The captain of the evil tiger pirates discovered that the fleeing pirates had turned the ship around, and it was obvious that he wanted to fight to the death. But he became more and more excited. Don't spare me any artillery shells, just blast them all. This is simply asking for death. The cannonballs alone are enough to kill them. At this time, he also caught a glimpse of a small boat approaching at great speed, right at the center where the two pirate ships meet. He immediately became alert. Could this be the companion of the pirate ship ahead? Otherwise, how could someone sail a small boat alone on the sea? The more I think about it, the more likely it is. Immediately order the men on the ship. Pull out your gun immediately and let me shoot the people on that boat. As he spoke, he immediately pointed to the boat. Immediately, someone listened to the captain's words, pulled out the pistol in his hand, and immediately shot 4 or 5 pistols at the young man in white. The boy in white just looked at these people with cold eyes, his hands in his pockets, his face expressionless. A moment later, bullets exploded in front of him, and he was unscathed. The evil tiger pirates were a little surprised when they saw this scene. Is this guy another devil fruit user? Otherwise, how could he be blocked in the form of this air wall? This was even more surprising to him than the one where his body expanded into a round ball just now. He felt a little bad in his heart. It seemed that he shouldn't mess with this pirate group. He felt that he could still handle the Straw Hat Luffy just now. After all, it was just a huge body, so what's the big deal? His machete is not a fool's errand, and if he cuts it down, the opponent will only be a living target. But this person was a bit cold, and even made him feel strong fear. Chapter 35, Sword Kills Pirate Ship. At the same time, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates also saw this strange scene. He actually blocked the pirate's pistol attack on him out of thin air. It's like there's a layer of magical energy blocking you. Blocked those bullet attacks. Straw Hat Luffy even exclaimed, "What kind of magical ability is this? This is simply more magical than my rubber fruit ability." In his eyes, he has already determined that the other party has eaten a devil fruit. Otherwise, he would not have such magical abilities. Compared with the other party's ability, that means the other party is more handsome. My own rubber fruit ability can also withstand bullets, but my body always seems to be pierced and then bounce back. But with the opponent's ability, bullets can't touch his body at all. There is no doubt that he is more handsome. He was a little excited. Such a person, I want to invite him to join the Straw Hat Pirates. Originally, there were 5 members of the Straw Hat Pirates, but after Nami left, the number became 4. This is really a bit small for a pirate group. After Nami left, there was even less vitality. And such a powerful partner is certainly what he needs. At this time, Usopp looked at the extremely indifferent young man and couldn't help but feel a bit familiar. I've obviously never seen this guy before, but I seem to have some impression of him. He lowered his head and thought, where did you get the impression of this young man? Zoro, on the other hand, looked at the young man on the boat in the distance in surprise. Said slowly, this boy is exactly the brother that the little girl Minato mentioned. He has short black hair, green moles under his eyes, white clothes, and a saber on his waist. The name is Ulquiorra. This is exactly the opponent he wants to pursue. I didn't expect to meet him here. What a blessing. It's bound to be a good duel. Only by defeating these powerful opponents can he make progress and become the world's greatest swordsman. Hawkeye is really terrifying. He is no match for him now, so he can only defeat some opponents who are stronger than him. In his eyes, the little girl's brother is a very suitable opponent. In his eyes, although the opponent can use flying slashes to kill Poseidons, they're still far from the level of Hawkeye. It must be an opponent that suits you. He is not afraid that the opponent is stronger than him. Only by competing with stronger people in swordsmanship can he make progress. When Luffy heard Zoro's words, he was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, this guy turned out to be the little girl's brother, and he instantly became a little frustrated. The little girl once said that the other brother didn't like being a pirate very much. I wonder if this person will be willing to accept the invitation. After worrying for a while, he decided to give it a try later. At this time, Ulquiorra slowly pulled out his sword and swung it towards the pirate ship attacking him. A terrifying green slash was swung in the direction of the knife, attacking the pirate ship. In an instant, the ship was split into two halves, together with the pirate captain who ordered the attack on him. Of course, he saw the skull flag. Of course, these people were pirates. Since they're attacking themselves, it is natural for them to eliminate them themselves. At this time, the people on the other pirate ships were frightened, and their faces were distorted. This terrifying guy actually split the captain in two. This is too powerful, isn't it? Who is this? How could it be possible to do such a thing? You must know that the captain of their evil tiger pirates is also well known in the East China Sea. Even though he is not as powerful as Captain Aaron of the Dragon Pirates, he is not weak in terms of strength. When did such a terrifying person appear in a place like the East China Sea? Before they could pursue the truth, the pirate ship had split into two and the cabin was filled with water. It even started to sink. All the pirates were panicked. What should I do? The boat has taken on water. It's broken into two parts and can't be repaired at all. Everyone, let's dive and get as much treasure as you can and swim away quickly. At this time, they were still thinking about the treasure on the ship. As long as these treasures are there, they can still find a place to live a happy life. When the Straw Hats saw this scene, their mouths opened wide and they were shocked. Luffy's eyes even shone. Is this the brother that the little girl said can kill Poseidons with flying slashes? It's too strong. Since he can kill Poseidons with his sword, he can naturally kill a pirate ship with his sword. In terms of size and sturdiness, the Poseidon type is of course larger and more defensive. Wooden pirate ships are still incomparable. This guy is really handsome as Luffy. He really wants to invite such a powerful guy to join his pirate group, so that he can definitely become his strong fighting partner. Even Sanji looked surprised. This man is really strong. They don't look like people from the East China Sea. Then he frowned and looked at Zoro aside, asking in disbelief, Hey, you guy, after seeing such a terrifying blow, are you still interested in a duel? You don't think you can defeat such an opponent, do you? Usopp also looked at Zoro in disbelief. This is an opponent that is impossible to defeat. I'll take care of Captain Evil Tiger with one strike. I remember the pirate flag above. There was a tiger painted on it. It was the famous Tiger Pirates. The strong man who was just split into two must be the captain, and he was killed with a knife. It was a bit of a miserable death. Zoro, I don't want you to be like this. After saying this, he felt fear in his heart. Zoro was a little frightened when he said this. He remembered what the little girl Minato said. His brother was indeed a bit cruel, but he shook his head and said, If I choose to back down here, I will never be a great swordsman again. Don't worry, I will choose to duel with him alone, and I will never hurt you. Luffy was very unhappy when he heard what he said. Zoro, don't say that. Don't say anything about not being implicated or not. Since you are my partner, you could just go ahead and fight. Don't worry about us. He was a little scared. If Zoro left again, he would become a three-person pirate team. It felt like he was getting further and further away from fulfilling his promise with red-haired Shanks. Zoro heard what he said. I was very satisfied. He originally joined the pirate group because being a pirate would not hinder his pursuit of the world's greatest swordsman. In that case, I will fight with the opponent. Chapter 36, Kill the Straw Hats with a Sword. Zoro made up his mind, and his momentum suddenly became high. Usopp wanted to say something, but looking at Zoro's rising momentum, he didn't know what to say. I could only pray in my heart that Minato's brother wouldn't be too cruel. Don't do what the little girl said about Kenpachi, and don't show any mercy at all. And just when he was thinking this, suddenly, he saw the boy in white waving the saber in his hand again. Then another terrifying green slash struck directly at those on the sea who wanted to swim away. In an instant, those people were killed with a knife. There were screams of horror and pain in the sea. And of course, the sea was stained red with blood. Usopp was shocked when he saw this scene. It was so cruel. This is too scary. Zoro, it's better not to challenge him. Such a scene is really frightening. So many pirates were killed directly by this man. It scared the living daylights out of him. If Zoro challenges the opponent, the consequences will be terrible. I didn't expect that I would encounter such a terrifying person as soon as I went to sea. Being a pirate is really a hard road. Even Sanji frowned. Such a cruel person. Even those who fell into the water would not be spared. Luffy looked at the other person a little regretfully. At this time, he had given up the idea of inviting the other party to join his pirate group. This person is really cruel and completely unsuitable to be my partner. He thought of red-haired Shanks. He is obviously a very powerful person, but he will not be so cruel if he is bullied. This is the person he wants to be. It was obvious that this boy was not such a person. Zoro was also surprised. This guy is so vicious. There is probably no way for these pirates to survive. Although he was once a pirate hunter, he also killed pirates. But he would only kill those who had bounties on their heads, and other than that, he would just chop and injure others. There was no pursuit of those who escaped. Such a person is really too cold. Even he was hesitant to fight with it. As I thought before, he is not a fool and knows that he cannot fight to the death with someone who is invincible. If he dies, then what dreams are there? At least the guy in front of him is not something he can fight against now. Kill the pirate ship with one strike, and kill the remaining pirates with one strike. This is something he cannot do. After a battle with Hawkeye, he understood his own weakness. I know I shouldn't be so impulsive. At this time, the melee had stopped next to the small boat. Ulquiorra looked at them coldly. Of course, when he got rid of those pirates before, it was to fulfill his father's order, and he didn't want to know that his family members were still alive in the world. If you don't take action, that's it. Once you take action, you have to clean it up. Those pirates just killed them without any serious problems. And now another pirate ship is approaching. Now that they saw the scene of them killing pirates, of course they couldn't let the other party leak their information to the sea. He raised the sword above his head, preparing to strike again to kill the opponent. Everyone in the straw hats who saw this scene was frightened. This guy actually did something to them. What a terrifying and cruel guy. Luffy was surprised. I just feel cold in my heart. Even his rubber fruit power couldn't stop such a terrifying slash. After all, the rubber fruit is most afraid of slashes and will definitely cut its own body open. Then we can only avoid it. But under his feet was the melee, and the opponent's slashing attack was so powerful that it would definitely cut the melee in half. You must know that the pirate ship is also his good partner. Without the pirate ship, he can't go anywhere. He didn't want his pirate ship to be cut off, he said angrily. Stop it. Of course, Ulquiorra didn't stop. The knife in his hand was already halfway swung. Why should these people tell him to stop? They're just pirates. It was too late to escape. The blame is that they came too close. Otherwise, they could have been spared. After all, I just looked at it from a distance and didn't know who specifically did it. Naturally, it didn't count as violating my father's prohibition, but it was too late now. Usopp's face turned pale with fear. This guy has no intention of stopping. Sanji also had a look of fear on his face. He couldn't block the opponent's attack, so he blocked it with his own legs? Are you kidding? His leg will definitely be broken. Will he also become a person with a broken leg? Zoro looked solemn. Ulquiorra, stop it. His words really made Ulquiorra stop. Zoro breathed a sigh of relief, and the other party stopped what he was doing, so there was still something to play. Usopp, Sanji, and Luffy all breathed a sigh of relief and just stopped. Zoro's words worked wonders. Ulquiorra looked at them impassively. You actually know his name? No one overseas probably knows him, because he has never told anyone else. Then there's only one possibility. It was his sister who told the other party, or it was Orochimaru. They must have met before. He jumped directly from the bow boat to Luffy's Mary, looking at the guy with short green hair indifferently. Where did you hear my name? At this time, he had sheathed his sword, put his hands in his pockets, and looked at the other person quietly. But even like this person still puts great pressure on the Straw Hats. Luffy felt that this person was completely unsuitable to be a companion. He was too cold. The pirate group should be happy. Usopp felt very powerful when he saw this man. Even talking to the other person was a taxing thought. And Sanji had no reason to speak, as the other party was not a beauty. Only Zoro looked at the other party with forced composure. I heard that from your sister. She once mentioned that she had a brother named Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra looked at him indifferently upon hearing this. As expected, since she is a younger sister, that's just right. You can go back after finding your sister. As for Orochimaru, let him go back and be punished later. His sister is still too naive, and as for Orochimaru, there are really very few people who can harm him in this sea. So don't worry. He asked slowly, where is she now? Chapter 37 Zoro challenges Ulquiorra, seeing that the boy in white didn't take action. Usopp felt relieved immediately and said quickly, she should be in Kokoja village, and she should be staying with Nami now. We have a good relationship with her, so you won't take action against us, right? Having seen his terrifying strength and his merciless killing of those pirates, Usopp was really scared. This man's strength is unpredictable. It was obviously not something that his companions could resist, let alone himself. His legs were shaking before. Now it is best to hope that for the sake of his sister, he will not take action against them. Sanji knows the reason why Usopp said this, so it's better not to say anything now. Ulquiorra looked at him indifferently. If the other party knew his sister, he would be really embarrassed to deal with them. After all, his sister is still very favored by her father in the family. Said indifferently, don't tell anyone about meeting me. Also, where is Kokoja village? Usopp completely relaxed after hearing this, and quickly pointed in the direction of Koko West village. Kokoyashi village is in that direction. You can reach it by going straight. The direction of going out to sea was naturally designated by him, so his direction was pretty much the same. When Ulquiorra heard this, he was about to turn around and leave. Now that he heard the news about his sister, he felt relieved. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Can I have a swordsmanship contest with you? Upon hearing this, Ulquiorra turned his head and looked at the man with green hair who made the sound. This reminded him of the world's best swordsman, whom he had just destroyed. The person in front of him looked much weaker than that person. He said coldly, you are no match for me. You are too weak. Zoro's face turned a little pale when he heard this. During this time, the second person felt that he was weak. But this was a naked fact, and it also dealt a huge psychological blow to him. Usopp even shouted quickly, Zoro, what are you talking about? Don't you know this man is very strong? How could you be your opponent? It's better not to delay others and let them leave quickly. It's not that he's attacking his teammates. It's that this person is too dangerous. The opponent wields a terrifying flying slash, which can destroy the Mary with one blow. There's no place for the opponent to fight here. This is the sea. Sanji was also speechless about Zoro's behavior. It's best not to provoke such a dangerous guy. This is the most reliable guy that the little girl Minato said. As for Aizen and Kenpachi, they're probably even more terrifying guys. He is no longer a young man who is ignorant of the world. At the sea restaurant Barati, you can often hear news about the sea, including pirates and marines. But I have never heard of such a terrifying guy. He sighed deeply in his heart, not knowing where these guys came from. Just now, this guy had explicitly forbidden them not to leak it out. Maybe it was for this reason that it was not known to everyone. Otherwise, how could such a strong strength not be famous in the East China Sea? Suddenly, he thought with horror that maybe it wasn't that no one saw them, but that the guys who saw them had been killed. No wonder no news about these people has spread. The Straw Hat Pirates should be lucky right now, lucky to know that little girl. Otherwise, they would be buried in the sea today. But Luffy didn't agree with Usopp's words. Since it is impossible for this guy to join his pirate group, then Zoro is the swordsman of their pirate group, and of course his swordsman must be the strongest in the world. How can you improve yourself if you don't challenge a strong person when you meet him? He shouted loudly, Usopp, stop talking, let Zoro challenge. Usopp fell helpless. Why did Luffy say such a thing without looking at who his opponent was? Zoro strengthened his thoughts after hearing Luffy's words. I want to challenge you. Even if I'm not my opponent, I still want to know the gap between the two sides. This is what he is thinking at the moment. The gap between him and Hawkeye meant that he couldn't see the other person's figure, but this boy wouldn't have the same gap. Ulquiorra's face was expressionless. Is there a gap? To be honest, the gap between the two sides is really the difference between heaven and earth. Okay, I will let you see the difference. Just consider it as the reward for telling my sister the news. Without this news, looking for his sister would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. The sea is so big. If the group of people in front of you can tell me the news, then you should satisfy the other party's wishes. He slowly drew out the sword he just had. Take action. Zoro saw this and pulled out Wado Imagi. Now he only has one sword. The other two knives before were broken in the collision with Hawkeye, and only one of the 21 skills of this big sharp knife can resist Hawkeye's black knife. As soon as his eyes were focused, he continuously swung his knife to attack the boy in white. The attack was like a violent storm, obviously more powerful than the previous offensive. But his expression was one of surprise. Not happy at all. His attack was completely blocked by the opponent. His face was expressionless. His face was not even red. His heart was not beating. He looked very relaxed. This duel seemed like facing the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye. Could it be that this young man has swordsmanship comparable to that of the world's greatest swordsman? Or is it that the gap between oneself and the other party is really too big, and one cannot see the difference between the other party and Hawkeye at all? But no matter which one it is, it shows that the gap between oneself and the other party is too huge. But even so, Zoro did not stop attacking and still launched a sharp attack, even sharper than before. At least he has to make some progress. At least make the opponent take a step back, and he will win. But no matter how sharp his attacks were, they were all blocked one by one. The three people watching the battle were all surprised. Minato's older brother Ulquiorra is just too strong. Now they just hope that this person can maintain such defense and let Zoro retreat. Otherwise, Zoro would definitely be seriously injured. If he had unleashed the terrifying slashes from before, even the melee might not have been spared. Sanji couldn't even understand how there could be such a terrifying young man in the sea, who was much stronger than the reformed brothers in his family. Facing Zoro's attack, he didn't even take a step back. When Zoro faced Hawkeye, he could at least make Hawkeye take a few steps back. Chapter 38 lost Zoro, even Luffy, the captain of the Straw Hats, had a solemn look on his face. This person is really scary. He saw no chance of Zoro winning. It's a pity that such a person cannot be his partner. Of course, he doesn't want the other party to join, because they are much stronger than him, the captain. After a burst of attacks, Zoro immediately stopped attacking. I'm a little tired, especially because the wound from the previous fight with Eagle has begun to crack. Such a serious injury cannot be healed in a few days. If it collapses again, the consequences will be too serious. Of course, the most important thing is that the opponent is too strong. He simply has no ability to launch an attack that can hurt the opponent. Even if you attack with all your strength, you won't be able to test the depth of your opponent at all. The other party has always looked calm. It made him deeply powerless. The gap between the two sides was really too big. I lost. After saying that, he felt a little bitter in his heart. There was such a terrifying young man on the sea. How can I fulfill my agreement with Kuina? Becoming the world's greatest swordsman is probably just a wishful thinking. Forget it about Hawkeye. After all, he is older than him and has reached the pinnacle of the world, but he is still young. As long as he is willing to endure hardship, it may be okay. And what's going on with this young man now? Although he was younger than himself, his swordsmanship was already so terrifying that he couldn't even see the opponent's back. I am really too weak. How can I catch up with such a person? Since he wants to fulfill his agreement with Kuina, of course he must become the true world's greatest swordsman. Not only did he have to defeat Hawkeye, he also had to defeat this person. Otherwise it's not done. The more I thought about it, the more disappointed and scared I became, afraid that I would not be able to fulfill the promise I made with Kuina. Ulquiorra showed no expression when he heard his words of surrender. He turned around and jumped back in his boat, then controlled the boat in the direction that the guy with the long nose pointed just now and left. At this moment, Zoro lowered his head expressionlessly, feeling extremely disappointed in his heart. When Usopp saw Zoro like this, he didn't know what to say to comfort him. Even he, who is not a grandmaster in swordsmanship, knows the huge gap between the two. How can you comfort yourself then? After all, he also knows that Zoro is a guy who pursues the pinnacle of swordsmanship. He is very determined and is not even afraid of death. I'm afraid it's been a huge blow now. Can you tell Zoro that as long as he works hard, he will definitely win? Impossible. Some geniuses just can't be defeated no matter how hard they try. Even Sanji felt a little sympathetic to Zoro. He knew why the other party was so hit. It was because he had encountered setbacks and could not see hope. Such terrifying guys are very rare even in the New World in the second half of the Grand Line. I'm afraid there is no one who can compare with him in the first half. Perhaps only those strong men behind the Great Channel have a little hope. Then the gap between Zoro and the other party is unimaginable. However, he felt that if such a person could survive a blow, the harder he was hit, the stronger he would be, but that was not necessarily true. Luffy looked at Zoro's completely lost expression and roared angrily. Zoro, don't look silent. I believe you will become a stronger swordsman than him in the future. After all, you want to become a member of One Piece. He didn't want to see such a listless Zoro. That wouldn't be the kind of partner he wanted. Zoro slowly raised his head and looked at Luffy, really envious of Luffy's appearance. I don't understand the gap between myself and that boy at all. But when I think about Luffy actually becoming One Piece, the first time he heard this sentence, he thought it was a joke. It was simply a fantasy. The emergence of One Piece in a small East China Sea is already a miracle among miracles. You must know that pirates in the East China Sea are despised by pirates in other seas and are considered the weakest sea. Maybe he hadn't realized it before, but when he met Hawkeye and the boy he just fought against, he knew the huge gap. They're so different and have no strength. How could Luffy become One Piece? But he is a little envious of this guy's spirit. Maybe he can work towards his goal with peace of mind without thinking so much. Thinking of this, he cheered up. It's true that I've been thinking about something lately. Were you hit? Or something? These are the reasons that have always hindered his progress. It's useless to think so much. You just need to keep honing your swordsmanship until you become the strongest in the world. Just like Luffy, it is useless to think too much, and even thinking too much may stop you from moving forward. Looking at Luffy, I will definitely become the world's greatest swordsman. Just wait and see. After saying that, he walked towards the middle deck. There are his training tools for barbell plates and 2 levers. Just pick it up and wave it, 100 pounds on each side. Luffy became happy seeing this. I don't know how Zoro suddenly cheered up, but that's fine. He didn't want to see a lifeless Zoro. Today's scene made him know how difficult it is to become One Piece, but this is what he wants to do. Just do it. Although he's been laughed at all the way, he is stubborn. Usopp sees a rejuvenated Zoro. Very reassuring. It's good that he wasn't hit, but I'm afraid that he will collapse and give up his swordsmanship. Then he would lose a powerful partner. Sanji took a puff of cigarette. Maybe Luffy's words made Zoro figure it out. That's fine too. Let's give them a feast tonight. Chapter 39, Worshipping Kuina. Another day passed. Nami took Nokigo and Minato to an ordinary island in the East China Sea. Shimatsuki village is naturally located in this place. The 3 of them came here in a boat. Nami looked at the island. According to the map, it should be here. Minato said happily, now that we're here, we should be able to find Brother Snake. Sister Nami is so awesome. The unfamiliar environment made her very curious. The world outside is really big. Even Nokigo admired this sister a little. Nami found Shimatsuki village so easily. This is just an ordinary island. It shouldn't be famous. At least she hasn't heard of it. Nami explained. Actually, there is a famous Ishin Kendo gym here, and there are quite a lot of apprentices. People from many places come here to learn Kendo, so it's quite easy to find this place. If it were really a village on an unknown island, I think it would be difficult to find it. Nokigo still felt that Nami was used to traveling outside and could find out this information. Then hurry up and find Brother Snake for Minato. I don't know if he's come to this island. Nami said calmly, you have to go to the island to see it yourself to know this. I heard that her brother was going to resurrect Kuina, so I asked people who had come here to learn Kendo. Kuina was the biological daughter of the owner of the kendo gym. She was a kendo genius, but she died 10 years ago. This made her feel a little regretful. Didn't it mean that he died when he was a child? He may have died with only ashes left. Can such a person really be resurrected? This seems to be Zoro's hometown. This is what she heard Luffy say. It seems that Kuina is still Zoro's companion, and the one Zoro wants to surpass. Minato was unhappy and actually questioned Brother Snake. Brother Snake can definitely do it. Although I haven't seen it before, but since Brother Snake is here, it must be okay. Nami and Nokigo were both stunned by these solemn words. We have already seen Minato's special ability, the ability to move instantly. It seems that not many people can do it on the sea. Nami also asked Minato how he did this, but Minato still didn't want to tell him at first. But after thinking about it, Sister Nami will be my baby mother in the future, so I revealed it. This is ninjutsu, Nokigo said slowly. It would be great if you could be resurrected. Then find your brother Snake quickly and return to your family island. She had already made up her mind, even if it meant becoming Minato's baby mother and marrying his father. She also wants to resurrect Belmere, who saved her and Nami. Now that I have the opportunity to repay her, there is no need to hesitate. It can also fill the hole in your heart and make up for the regrets in your life. So the three of them set off immediately, and Nami asked the passers-by they met for the direction of the Ishin Kendo gym. Then he left immediately. The three of them entered the Ishin Kendo gym smoothly. At this moment, there are no students training in the Ishin Kendo hall. It must be the weekend. They were received by an old man wearing glasses, a ponytail, and a brown kimono. He looked at these people with kind eyes and a smile. What brought you here? The two young women and the little girl probably came to him to learn swordsmanship. After all, he has really few female disciples. Girls basically cannot endure the hardship of learning kendo. He felt a little sad. If his daughter Kuina was still alive, she would be this old. Alas, I didn't expect such an accident to happen. I actually fell down the stairs and died. It's so unpredictable. Minato asked first, "Did you see a long-haired boy a little older than me come here?" Koshiro shook his head. "I haven't seen it. Is he also here to learn swordsmanship?" Minato shook his head. "No, Grandpa. He is here to resurrect." Before he could finish speaking, Nami covered his mouth. Why does this Minato even say such things? Of course, this kind of thing cannot be said. Who would believe such a thing? It is more likely to anger the old man. After all, his daughters are dead. On the sea, resurrection is definitely impossible. If she hadn't seen Minato's methods, she wouldn't have believed it. She said quickly, "Actually, I am Zoro's companion. I once heard that Kuina was her companion, but she died when she was young." Koshiro's kind face slowly disappeared. His face was expressionless because he heard what the little girl said about resurrection. I also thought of what the orange-haired woman in front of me said about Kuina. Resurrection of Kuina? I don't believe it at all. How is this possible? I don't care about this anymore. But he said with a smile, "I haven't seen the long-haired boy, and no strangers have been here recently. You are Zoro's companion. What is Zoro doing now? Are you still continuing to be a bounty hunter?" He had heard the news before that this guy Zoro is now a well-known bounty hunter in the East China Sea. He naturally knew the agreement he made with his daughter, which was that one of them would become the world's greatest swordsman. That's why Zoro becomes a bounty hunter, hunting evil pirates and enhancing his strength and sword skills. Zoro will definitely become a very powerful swordsman in the future. Nami breathed a sigh of relief and saw that the other party did not think deeply about the word resurrection. Before, I was a pirate on the ship with Zoro, but now I have separated from the pirate group. This time I have time to come and pay homage to his former companion. Where is her grave? Koshiro was a little surprised. Did this guy Zoro actually become a pirate? He wasn't going to care anymore. When you are a pirate, you should not be the kind of pirate who burns, kills, and loots. I should probably pursue kendo. That's it. Look at Nami. Since you want to pay homage to Kuina, her grave is on the back mountain. Chapter 40, Orochimaru arrives. Kuina's father Koshiro learned the location of Kuina's grave. The three of Nami said goodbye to Koshiro and walked towards the back mountain cemetery. Only by looking at Kuina's grave to see if it has been touched, can we know whether Orochimaru has been there? Perhaps Koshiro moved Kuina's grave without alerting him. She asked Minato how the Earth reincarnation resurrected people. This kind of thing is not simple at first glance, and it should require the preparation of some special materials. Minato has surpassed Brother Snake, and Brother Snake hasn't used it much, but he still knows the method. Brother Snake told her that she would use something dirty, as well as a container to hold the soul. The most important thing is the body of the deceased, even the ashes. So just go to Kuina's grave and see if anyone has touched it, and you will know if Orochimaru has been there. Normally, no one would touch the cemetery. If it had moved, it was probably Minato's snake brother. In that case, Nami might have to find another way to help Minato get home. And Minato no longer remembers the location of his home, so it's better to find her snake brother. On the way, Minato looked at Nami curiously. "Why don't you tell Grandpa the truth? I see that Grandpa looks kind and kind. If he could see his daughter again, he would be very happy, right?" Nami explained helplessly. "If I could see my daughter, I would definitely be happy. But if we tell him like this, he won't believe it, and he will even stop us. It's best to tell Kuina after resurrecting her. The reincarnation of the dirty land requires Kuina's body, so the tomb must be disturbed. I believe no father would allow this. In fact, she and Nachigo also wanted to see if this Orochimaru could resurrect Kuina, because this is related to whether their mother Belmir can be resurrected." Minato understood a little after hearing this. Then wait until Kuina is resurrected. However, the reincarnation of the earth is not a true resurrection. Only a father can. About 10 minutes later, the three of them climbed to the back mountain. In an open space on the mountain, a tombstone and a small hill were found. It says the tomb of my beloved daughter Kuina. It seems this is it. Nami immediately checked the situation around him. Finding no sign that the soil had been disturbed meant that Orochimaru had never been here at all. Maybe his brother Minato was just a kid and couldn't find his way. "It's very possible," Nami asked. "Minato, how old is your brother?" "She looks like a 10-year-old, a head taller than me." Nami was a little dumbfounded. "Isn't this just a child?" "Minato, is it possible that your brother also doesn't know the way? Could he be lost in the sea? Although the strength is very strong, there is no need to worry about encountering danger. But in this case, it will be difficult to find this place in the year of the monkey and the month of the horse. It may be a few days if you are lucky, or maybe several months if you're not lucky." Nuwa Kigeo also looked dumbfounded. If this were the case, she might have to wait a long time, and her enthusiasm for resurrecting her mother had faded a bit. She had heard that only by finding the other person's father could he truly be resurrected. Of course, she wanted to see her mother as soon as possible and complete this matter as soon as possible. Minato shook his head and said, "Probably not. Brother Snake seems to be very shrewd, and he doesn't know the way." After hearing this, Nami relaxed a little. Minato was only 5 or 6 years old, while her brother was 10 years old. Of course, it cannot be calculated according to normal age. Other 10-year-old children may not understand anything. He may not even know how to go to sea, but if he is Minato's brother, he should still be able to find Shimatsuki village. Then let's wait here for a while. No Kigo nodded in agreement. Apart from this, there is no other better way. One day later, a small boat slowly approached the shore on the sea. On it is a young man with long black hair, long golden pupils, wearing a kimono, and a purple sash tied around his waist. After docking the boat firmly on the shore, muttered to himself, "According to the map, this should be the location of Shimatsuki village, and the Ishin Kendo gym should be here." I was very happy. It took me a few days to finally find this place. All that's left to do next is to find Kuina's grave. As long as part of her body is obtained, even just her ashes, she can be resurrected. Then take it back to your father. When his father is happy, he will definitely give him Manjiki Sharingan, even eternal Manjiki Sharingan. This is what he wanted from his heart, because his other brother Itachi possesses the Manjiki Sharingan. During the fight between himself and the other party said something that shocked him deeply. "None of your techniques will work in front of my eyes." Of course, he was dissatisfied when he heard this. Then he used many ninjutsu to defeat Itachi, but all were seen through without exception. Itachi was right. With the ninjutsu he can now use, he probably has no chance of defeating Itachi. Mangekyou Sharingan is really awesome. He really wanted to have a pair. In this case, his strength must have improved dramatically. Since Mangekyou Sharingan can see through ninjutsu, he may be able to use this to develop more powerful ninjutsu. After thinking about it, he walked towards the nearby village. Is there any cemetery near here? As long as you know that, you can go find it. Of course, he wouldn't go to Koshiro, Kuina's father. After all, he wanted to dig the other party's daughter's grave. As a father, how could you allow this to happen? It must be impossible. He walked along the path towards the center of the island. Soon we arrived at a village. Wandering around, I was ready to ask the people here, but something happened that surprised him. I couldn't help but rub my eyes. How could this happen? Isn't that little girl with golden hair her sister Minato? Why are you here? He panicked for a moment. This guy couldn't have followed him out. Minato looked for him when he came out before, but he didn't take her with him at all. I came out this time to do business, so why did I bring an oil bottle with me? Chapter 41 Departure. After Orochimaru confirmed that it was his sister Minato, he quickly walked over with a cold face. Not to mention that I want to get Mangekyou Sharingan. It is already very good without being severely punished. Minato was his youngest sister and the most favored by her father. He also personally taught her some ninjutsu, the art of flying thunder god. This technique is a ninjutsu that even he has not been able to learn. It is extremely difficult. It can be said to be very difficult. However, the other ninjutsu you master may not be inferior to this ninjutsu. It can even be said to be stronger, but not as convenient. Minato, who is currently following Nami and Nokigo wandering around the village, seemed to be aware of it. He immediately saw his long-haired snake brother and shouted happily, "Brother Snake, Brother Snake." Nami and Nokigo turn around in surprise. Is Minato's brother here? Then wouldn't it be possible to truly see the reincarnation of a resurrected person? Orochimaru walked up to Minato with a cold face and yelled, "How did you get here? Did you follow me out?" But it actually came to me before me. This couldn't be something that his sister could do. Then he looked at the two women beside Minato. Could it be that these two people were leading the way? It seemed like it didn't hurt Minato. He breathed a sigh of relief. My sister is really naive. It's good that he's not in danger. Otherwise, he might really suffer terrible punishment. Minato said unhappily when he saw his brother's expression. Who told you not to take me out to play? Of course I went out to play by myself. The outside world is much more comfortable than staying on the island. The outside world is really big. Orochimaru's face turned even colder after hearing this. Sure enough, it was like this. Although he said that there was nothing wrong with his little sister, he followed him out, and he didn't know if his father would punish him for it. He was really careless. He said slightly angrily, "Although the outside world is very good, it is not something you can come out at your age. Be careful of being deceived by people outside." Minato said unhappily, "No way. I also killed the famous Captain Eren in the East China Sea before. He is one of the most powerful pirates in this sea. So no one in Donghai can hurt me." Orochimaru looked surprised and worried when he heard this. That Eren he had heard about in the past few days in the East China Sea was the most famous pirate in the East China Sea. Not even Marine can do anything to him. The bounty has reached 18 million Baileys. I didn't expect that the little girl is so powerful, although it's nothing to him. Thinking of this, he asked in surprise, "Little sister, have you successfully mastered the Flying Thunder God technique and Rasengan?" These two techniques, one is S level and the other is A level. If they work together, it will be easy to kill Captain Eren in one blow. Minato said happily, "Yes, that's right. The dragon pirates dared to hurt Sister Nami, and then I killed Captain Eren. By the way, I haven't introduced you yet. This is Sister Nami, and this is Sister Nuikigo. They're the concubines I found for my father, and they're my future baby mothers." Nami and Nuikigo's faces were a little rosy. It was a bit strange to be introduced like this, but they still introduced themselves calmly. "I'm no Kigo. I'm Nami." Orochimaru was completely shocked. This guy, my little sister, actually found two little mothers. Looking at these two people, they have very good faces and very good figures. Of course, he was not angry, but felt that the little girl was really a genius. My father will definitely like these two beautiful women. In that case, the father will definitely not punish the little sister again. Although she's the most favored person in the family, she will certainly be punished if she makes a mistake. Just like my father said, if they are not punished, they will not know what their children will look like. He naturally knows his father's good intentions. But why can't he imitate his little sister? If he also brings two beautiful women back to his father, he will not only be able to strengthen his family, but he will even be able to please his father. Then he was spared the punishment of coming out privately. Of course, there is also the punishment of the little girl following him out. This account will undoubtedly be settled on his head. If you can still please your father, you might be able to obtain the samsara eye. Thinking of this, he had a smile on his face. The little girl is really a genius. She actually has such a good idea. He had made up his mind. If I have a chance to meet some beauties in the future, I must send them back to my father. He also smiled and introduced himself. I am Minato's older brother, Orochimaru. Thank you for taking care of my little sister. Minato asked happily. Brother Snake, when are you going to resurrect Kuina? Nami and Nokigo were excited when they heard this. Now you can see the magic of resurrection. Being able to be resurrected means that their mother can also be resurrected. Orochimaru was a little speechless. How did you tell them this? There was nothing authentic about Minato. Since she is my little mother, it doesn't matter if she knows. By the way, we have found Kuina's graveyard. Let's go there quickly. Orochimaru was a little helpless. Although she's a future baby mother, she has not officially become one yet. However, my father will definitely like this kind of beauty. My father has not taken a concubine for a long time. Now that I know the location of the cemetery, it saves me a lot of effort. It's better to do this early and leave early. Okay, take me there. These two are future baby mothers, so it doesn't matter if they get to know each other. Since she is my little mother, she should be one of my own. Even if his father did not accept these two people, he could still seal their memories. That way, family information will naturally not be revealed. Of course, based on my understanding of my father. My father is a good man and has many wives. So I have many brothers and sisters who are also very strong. Their family can be called the first family on the sea. It's just that my father chose to keep a low profile. Maybe he's used to being low-key. Therefore, not many people know the family's reputation. Chapter 42 got it soon after Nami, Nokigo, Minato, and Orochimaru came to the mountain behind the Ishin Kendo Hall. There's a hill here with the tomb of my beloved daughter, Kuina, written on it. There's a hill on the other side, and the name seems to be that of Kuina's elder. But of course, Orochimaru's purpose is just Kuina. Orochimaru slapped his hands on the ground. Earth-style ascends. Immediately, the Kuina hill quickly rose up. The ground surged. Orochimaru observed the rising soil and found a jar, which probably contained Kuina's ashes. This is enough. Nokigo and Nami were both a little horrified when they saw this scene. Didn't you expect Minato's brother Orochimaru to be able to control the soil? It feels like a devil fruit ability. Like Minato said, her brothers and sisters all have special abilities. The two of them became more and more curious about her father, wondering how powerful a father could be to allow his children to have such abilities. But they asked Minato, and Minato replied that he had never eaten a devil fruit, so they were even more surprised. According to Minato, their siblings seem to have inherited their abilities from their father. Sons and daughters can possess such magical abilities. If they could also have children with Minato's father, wouldn't the children be extremely powerful? As a mother, who doesn't want her children to become strong? From this point of view, Minato's father must be a man suitable for having a baby with him. At this time, Orochimaru took out the jar from the mounds of soil and opened it to see that it was indeed ashes. Besides Kuina's ashes, whose ashes could they be? Now I can fulfill my father's wish. My father once said that Kuina is a swordsman genius, and it would be great if she was still alive. Since my father didn't do it, it felt okay for him to do it. As long as the father is happy, just give him a pair of Manjiki Sharingan. My father still has this ability, because my father has abilities even more terrifying than this. He planned to take it back and let his father truly resurrect it. Minato came closer. Brother Snake, Now that we have Kuina's ashes, can we use the dirt reincarnation to resurrect her? Sure. Orochimaru took out a small piece of cloth and wrapped the jar before preparing to leave and return to the boat. But this time, the four of them heard a very terrifying, cold, and angry voice. What the hell are you guys doing? Nami was horrified to discover that the old man was Kuina's father. She wanted to explain, but she didn't know how to explain it. Are you really talking about such a fantasy as resurrecting the other party's daughter? They haven't really seen it themselves, and they were panicked for a moment. Koshiro was looking at the jar in the hand of the young man with long black hair and the soil rising from his daughter's grave. He was completely angry. This guy actually allowed his daughter to die without peace and dared to touch his daughter's ashes. Damn it, put it back for me, restore the cemetery, and kowtow 1,000 times, otherwise you won't be able to leave here today. Nami knew that the old man in front of him was no longer as amiable as when he first met. Now it's like an angry beast, of course she understands. If her mother's grave was messed with like this, she would only be even more angry. Nuwa Kigeo stood up and explained despite the old man's terrifying pressure. Master, actually we just want to resurrect your daughter. Minato also shouted. Yes, Grandpa. This way you can see your daughter. Koshiro was stunned for a moment when he heard this, but instead of feeling happy, his face became even colder. I thought you were Zoro's companions, and kindly told me the location of my daughter's cemetery so that you could come and pay homage to my daughter. I didn't expect to do such a thing, and now you're saying things like deceiving me, an old man, about resurrecting my daughter. Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old? Put it back, or I will draw the sword. Although he is usually gentle and does not get angry easily. But that doesn't mean he has no temper. His daughter is what he cares about most. Even after death, no one will be allowed to insult his daughter. Orochimaru's secret path is not good. It seems that there are more troubles today. The old man didn't believe it at all. But it doesn't matter whether he believes it or not. He just needs to take it back. It's obvious that this guy is not comparable to those ordinary pirates. Yes, of course he met pirates after he went to sea, but those people were already buried in the belly of the fish. He slowly stretched out his right hand. Latent shadow, snake hands. In an instant, many small snakes emerged from his cuffs. He bit Koshiro violently. These little snakes have tasks such as deterrence, containment, and capture, and can achieve the effect of multiple combos. Since this man is Kuina's father, and Kuina is the person whom her father values, he will naturally not kill her. As long as he loses the ability to resist after being bitten by the snake's venom, he can leave. Koshiro was stunned when he saw this scene. Is this guy a human who ate the snake devil fruit? How else would he be able to conjure so many snakes from his sleeves? But it doesn't sound right when he thinks about it. Even if he is an animal devil fruit user, he is just turning his body into an animal. It's obvious, isn't it? Who is this guy? Facing the fierce little snake rushing towards him, he directly drew out the simple long knife on his waist. He waved quickly. In an instant, all the dozens of small snakes that attacked were cut into pieces. Minato was a little surprised when he saw this scene. This old man is very strong. He should be a master of swordsmanship. Nami Nochi was speechless. No matter how you look at it, your brother is probably even weirder. He can actually have so many snakes coming out of his sleeves. The two felt that Minato's brother was even more terrifying. After all, they are girls, so they are naturally afraid of snakes, which are slimy, long, and very vicious. Chapter 43, The Art of Flying Thunder God. Even Orochimaru was stunned. Unexpectedly, the other party took over his move easily. This guy is no ordinary person. It should be said to be very powerful. It seems like his brothers who use swords. Although it is impossible to be as powerful as his brother, his temperament is very similar, which is enough to explain the problem. This guy has the strength of a great swordsman. I didn't expect that there was such a person in the East China Sea. No wonder the father would value his daughter. How could a girl born from such a guy have weak swordsmanship talent? It seems that the little snake he cast is no match for the opponent at all. Then there is no need to use this trick again. At this time, Koshiro looked at Orochimaru and waved the ancient long sword again. A flying slash flew directly towards Orochimaru. The terrifying slash even split the big tree behind it into two halves. Koshiro said coldly, "Put down Kuina's ashes, or the next blow will be across your body." He was not joking. The other party had completely provoked his bottom line. Even though he usually doesn't show off his emotions, he can still barely control his anger at this time. This is because of the good character he has developed through years of practicing swordsmanship. Otherwise, other people would have hacked the four people in front of them to death without saying a word. Nami no Kigo looked at this scene in surprise. Flying slash. Still a very scary slash. This blow can cut such a large tree in half vertically and fly far away before disappearing. They had no doubt that this blow could cut off a pirate ship. Is this kind old man actually a terrifying swordsman? I didn't expect that there would be such a master in a place like this. They were a little panicked and didn't know what to do. But Minato said comfortingly at this time, "It's okay. Brother Snake will be able to handle it." She wasn't worried at all. This old man was indeed very powerful. Such terrifying slashes were extremely fast, and even she had to be careful when dealing with them, otherwise she would be injured. I just felt that my father was right. You should be more careful when walking on the sea. Who would have thought that there would be such a powerful person in the East China Sea? Since he is someone she thinks is powerful, he must be very extraordinary. She should be more careful in the future. Seemingly ordinary people are so powerful. Nami felt a little more at ease. Since Minato said not to worry, then he probably shouldn't. Minato's brother also has very magical abilities. Among the four people, Orochimaru is the one who can understand this blow best. After all, he just missed it. Although it is said that the moment it hits itself, it can cast a substitute technique to resist this kind of damage. He and his father are the only grandmasters of this magical substitute technique in the family. However, this old man is really powerful. It seems that he is not an opponent that can be easily subdued. Of course, there is no need to fight to the death. After all, Kuina's ashes are already in hand, so he can use the dirty earth reincarnation to resurrect him. If he killed this person here, his father would probably blame himself. He looked towards Minato. "Minato, please leave first. I will follow you later." Okay. Minato immediately agreed to come out. It seems that Brother Snake is planning to retreat. This is of course a good thing. You can't kill this old man directly. This old man is just a father. She directly squeezed Nami no Kigo's hand and warned, "Sisters, close your eyes. I'm going to take you to teleport." Teleporting for the first time is still a little uncomfortable for the human body, especially the eyes. You may feel a sense of dislocation, so it will feel better if you close your eyes. No Kigo and Nami were both shocked. Are they going to use the ability to teleport with them? He quickly closed his eyes. They had all seen Minato's move with their own eyes. It was very magical. It can leap a large distance in an instant. After Minato saw the two of them closing their eyes, he immediately led them to the small boat on the shore using the Flying Thunder God technique. This place bears the mark of her Flying Thunder God. Looking at Nami with her eyes closed and Sister Nuakigo, she breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that there was nothing serious between them, so she said softly, "Okay, you can open your eyes now." Nami no Kigo slowly opened her eyes and saw the sea. Then she looked at the soles of her feet. "Isn't this the boat they came from?" A look of surprise appeared on his face. "This is really amazing. Look at the big mountain in the distance. That is where Kuina is buried." Such a long distance is reached all at once. It didn't take long for me to close my eyes. I just felt like the world was spinning, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I was here. This is really a very convenient method. Nami is a little envious of this method. It would be great if she had this method before. As long as you enter the pirate treasure house, you can teleport out together with the treasure. It's so cool to think about it that way. It's a pity that she will never be a thief again. But that's not necessarily the case. Anyway, it's just stealing the pirate's money. It's not a sin at all. The stolen money will not be taken away by Marine. Of course, even if she comes to take it away now, she won't be afraid because she has Minato as her backer. Unknowingly, she had already regarded Minato as her supporter. It would be great if she was really her daughter. However, in the future, I may really want to be Minato's baby mother. In that case, Minato can be regarded as my daughter, which seems very good. It will definitely be very satisfying if I take Minato with me to rob pirates' treasures in the future. I had this great idea in mind, but this is only a matter of the future. Now, I just think about it. Resurrecting my mother is the most important thing. No Kigo asked, a little worried about Minato's brother. Is it really okay for your brother to be left alone there? That old man is very scary when he gets angry. Thinking of that blow, what kind old man is this? Much scarier than those ferocious pirates. Minato said, waving his hands. It doesn't matter. Brother Snake asked us to leave first. I guess he will retreat soon. On the mountain, Koshiro looked at this scene with some surprise. The little blonde girl seemed to have teleported away with the other two people. I didn't even have time to see clearly what trajectory this was. Is it really teleportation? Could it be the power of the devil fruit? It actually has such a convenient ability. If it had been in the past, he would have thought of making friends with such people to provide talents for the Revolutionary Army. But now is not the time to care about this. He stared closely at the long-haired boy in front of him. Kuina's ashes are still in his hands, as long as this guy doesn't escape. Chapter 44 Successful Escape. Even the long-haired Orochimaru was stunned. He originally asked Minato to take the other two people away, of course on foot. He would never have thought that she would use the Flying Thunder God technique to lead two people away. This guy Minato actually did this kind of thing, teleporting with two people. This little girl is really unexpected. She must have reached a very advanced level in the art of Flying Thunder God. With two people, the difficulty of teleportation rises straight up. This is the best ninjutsu for little girls. Each of his siblings has abilities that are particularly suited to him. His own special ability is the art of reincarnation. Minato, on the other hand, has the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Although they're all ninjutsu, he himself also wants to learn the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. It's hard to learn. That's time and space ninjutsu, extremely difficult. So he gave up later. But if he had known better, he would have let Minato take him away with him. Now I can only find a way to leave by myself. He put down the jar in his hand and lay on the ground with his hands. Shouted grimly, the formation of 10,000 snakes. Then he opened his mouth and spit out a large number of snakes from his mouth to bite the old grandfather. The snakes attacked the old grandfather overwhelmingly. Orochimaru picked up the jar and ran. After running for a while, he quickly hid behind a big tree and formed seals with his hands. The art of earth clone. I saw the soil on the ground gradually rising and then slowly turning into a human shape, gradually turning into his appearance. It's completely consistent with him. This is just a clone technique and has no fighting power, but still very useful for luring enemies. Then he ordered his clone to wait in place, and then accelerated to run in the other direction after the grandfather came over. The old man he knew was a powerful swordsman. The huge number of snakes he summoned may not necessarily be able to stop the opponent's pace. Even if it can be stopped, I'm afraid it won't be possible for many seconds. Then, let your Earth clones seduce you again so that you have enough time to run away. Koshiro was shocked when he saw the swarm of snakes in the sky. This guy could actually summon so many snakes. Is there a secret space in his mouth? Looking at the other party again and actually running away, how could he allow the other party to escape? He waved the simple long knife in his hand and swung it vigorously, slashing at the swarm of snakes in the sky. In less than a minute, these Lion Majesty were hacked to death. Although there are many in number, their strength is quite average. With my own strength, these snakes pose no threat to me. The direction that the man fled should be towards the seaside. He rushed over immediately. He must be intercepted. Not long after, I suddenly saw a figure emerging from behind a big tree and then headed in another direction. It was the long-haired boy who stole his daughter's ashes. I didn't expect that I would dare to stay here. Before he could make any move, the young man started to run away. Damn guy, Koshiro chased after him, waving the ancient sword in his hand and making flying slashes. That boy was always able to avoid his own slashes. He is truly an extraordinary person, but why would he do such a thing? What would you do with your daughter's ashes? After chasing him for a distance, another flying slash successfully cut the boy in half. The powerful slash even made a long scratch on the ground. Was this young man solved so easily by himself? There is a sense of unreality. It shouldn't be, with the method the other party just used. No matter what, it is impossible to be killed by him so easily. What's going on? He slowly walked towards the boy who had been cut in half. Now we need to find Kuina's ashes and place them so that Kuina can rest in peace. Suddenly, the two corpses on the ground turned into dirt. Koshiro stared at this scene blankly. What is going on? How is this possible? Looking at the surrounding environment, there is no urn of Kuina's ashes at all. He realized he had been lied to. I was very angry. Damn it. Is this a ninja trick like Wano Country? There is a similar clone in Wano Country, but it is not so lifelike, and it even deceives my own perception. The other party must have let the fake body seduce him, and then fled to the seaside to leave. These people were all outsiders, whom he had never seen before. We must rush over as soon as possible. He immediately put away his knife and turned to the seaside. It was the original direction of escape, but this fake body took him in another direction. Why didn't I even notice this? Was I really too angry? In the past, I shouldn't have been fooled by such a simple trick. It seems that Kuina's incident made him extremely angry. At this moment, Orochimaru had already reached the shore and saw Minato, Nami, and Nachigo waiting for him on the boat. Jumped up directly. Set the boat quickly. That old man is really going to catch up. My own clone technique probably won't take much time. If he is discovered, he will definitely pursue him angrily. The top priority, of course, is to leave as soon as possible. He didn't want to fight with the old man, but it wasn't because he didn't have the ability to deal with him. Of course, my own Dirty Land reincarnation technique has not summoned any talents now. Now his only combat power is a large psychic beast, the giant snake. But when dealing with the great swordsman, I feel like I can handle it. But when I summon One Piece Roger, there is no need to be so embarrassed when dealing with such a guy. You can still retreat calmly. After all, Roger is One Piece, and his strength must be at the top of the world. I'm really looking forward to it. After hearing this, Nami hurriedly sailed the boat. Soon, the boat sailed to the sea. Soon not even the coast was visible. Nami felt relieved now. It's not easy to chase the old man on the sea. At this moment, she felt a little guilty. It is so unethical to harass a father like this. If his daughter could be resurrected, he wouldn't be so angry. She looked towards Orochimaru, who was sitting in the boat. Orochimaru, you should be able to resurrect Kuina, right? Now she wants to see the resurrection of the Dirty Land reincarnation technique, even if it is not a real resurrection. Minato is also looking forward to it. Brother Snake, let me take a look. This resurrection technique is much more magical than my own Flying Thunder God technique. One is the art of teleportation, and the other is the art of resurrecting the dead. Which one is more magical? Needless to say, Chapter 45 Resurrection of Kuina. Even Nuo Kigyo looked over with a look of anticipation on his face. If it can really be resurrected, then his mother can also be resurrected. Then the hole in your heart will be completely filled, and your life will be perfect. Of course, you can also find yourself a good partner. This is not only a deal to resurrect the mother, but also has this idea in mind. At her age, she should have had a partner long ago. She should even have a child, but her previous life was unfortunately disrupted by the dragon pirates. Now it's time to get back to normal. Of course, even Orochimaru himself was looking forward to it, with a smile on his face. Okay, then I'll give it a try. He took out a seal scroll, then opened it and formed a seal with his hands. A thick fog formed, and some materials appeared on the scroll. It is the material for the reincarnation of the dirty soil, so naturally, it has been prepared a long time ago. There is a white Zetsu body inside, which was made by Father's Pet. Father's Pet is much more powerful than his giant snake. It is also possible to create this kind of white magic. Baiju is a kind of bionic human, which is an excellent material for experiments. With great difficulty, he begged his father to give him a few. Used as a vessel to summon the souls of the dead. The strength of the person reincarnated from the filthy soil of this white body is almost the same as that in life. Of course, he could also use living people as vessels for resurrection. It's just that the effect isn't that good, and he will summon One Piece Roger later. If he didn't have the strength he had during his lifetime, it would be a great pity. To summon him, of course, he must return at his peak. Now let's try it with Kuina. After preparing the materials, he opened a jar and scattered Kuina's ashes on by Zetsu's body. Nami looked a little surprised at this scene. Is this the special material needed for resurrection? Are there any steps? No, Kigo was a little uneasy. Will it succeed or fail? She prayed in her heart that she would succeed. Orochimaru was well prepared, and he was also very excited. This was the first time he used his special ability. If he really succeeds, he will immediately resurrect One Piece Roger. This is the top combat power in the sea. Moreover, such a dead person cannot resist him, and he will not be afraid of Jinjutsu. Does that guy Itachi still dare to despise all his ninjutsu? But that's all for later. His hands immediately formed a seal, the art of reincarnation from dirty soil. A soul fell from the sky and entered Baiju's body. Then the filthy soil covered Baiju, causing Baiju to scream in pain. Minato couldn't help but hug Nami. This resurrection technique is a bit scary. After all, she is still just a child. Of course, Nami was also surprised. Isn't this a serious resurrection? Is it a sorcery? No, Kigo looked at this scene in horror. She really turned into a little girl, wearing a white top, a middle-parted hairstyle, and a reddish-brown belt tied around her waist. There's several cracks on the face. Kuina slowly opened her eyes. Seeing the people in front of them, they instantly became confused. Who are you? Why am I here? Minato looked at the girl who had turned into a human form and was a head taller than him, and he was no longer so scared and said happily, Brother Snake, did you really revive her? It really worked. Brother Snake's filthy earth reincarnation technique can really bring people back to life. It's really amazing. Orochimaru himself was very excited. This is really awesome, a special ability passed down to him from his father. It should be said to be one of the most magical abilities in this sea. When Nakageo saw this man speaking, he actually came back to life. This is so amazing. In that case, her mother should be able to be resurrected, and her heart would settle down, and she would no longer have the anxiety she had before. Kuina herself was stunned. Did they mean to resurrect herself? I remember that I fell down the stairs before, and I felt extremely severe pain at that time. Did I die at that time? My father must be very sad, but now he seems to have really come back to life, feeling his body carefully. He was not breathing, he touched his chest, and there was no heartbeat, so he immediately panicked. This is not a real resurrection. What kind of magic did you use? Her face changed, and there was anger and fear in her heart. Will she still be manipulated after her death? Orochimaru said with a smile, It's indeed not a true resurrection, but it shouldn't be considered a magic spell. It's just the magical technique of reincarnation from dirty soil that summons your soul back. Minato said comfortingly, Don't worry, Father can truly resurrect you, right, Brother Snake? Kuina was shocked. Is this really okay? She really wants to live, and there are still many things she has not been able to accomplish. Then my father won't be sad anymore. She is the only daughter in the family. Orochimaru responded affirmatively. Of course, my father's ability is of course possible. My father possesses the Samsara Eye, which is a supreme eye that can truly resurrect the dead and has the ability to control life. No, Kiko and Nami both believed it. Although it was not a real resurrection, the magical scene in front of them was enough to make them believe that Minato's father could do such a thing. The two of them looked forward to it more and more. After finding Brother Snake, the next destination should be to go to her family, to meet the father who has magical abilities. This is also their future husband. If they could really resurrect their mother, both of them would marry that person without hesitation. Minato also suggested at this time, Brother Snake, are we going home then? After this trip, she was already very satisfied. If I go home now, I have nothing to regret. She also wanted her father to help Nami resurrect her mother and the little sister in front of her who was a head taller than herself. It would be such a shame to die so young. Orochimaru shook his head and said, No, I still have unfinished business. I have to go to Roger Town, the place where One Piece died. If I can find the bones of One Piece Roger there, then I can successfully resurrect him, and then I will have the strongest fighting force on this sea. It is impossible to become king without the strongest combat power. Thinking about it makes him a little excited. He could even have a good fight with Itachi. I wonder what the expression on Itachi's face would be like. Even if the opponent's Jinjutsu is invincible, what's the use against a dead person? Not to mention the great fireball technique. Even if the violent explosion blew up the body of the reincarnation of the dirt, the reincarnated body of dirty soil can still be recovered. That's right, the reincarnated body of the dirty land has an immortal body. I wonder if he still dares to despise his own ninjutsu. Chapter 46, Astria. Family Minato's eyes lit up when he heard this. Brother Snake, you are so awesome. Won't One Piece Roger become the fighting force of our family in the future? That would be really cool. Nami Nachigeo didn't think so, but felt horrified and said quickly, "That's One Piece Roger. Is it really good to resurrect him? Wouldn't such an evil person cause chaos in the world again? It was this man who started the Great Pirate Era. The sentence, 'I hid all the treasures there,' attracted countless people to go to sea to find the legendary secret treasure One Piece. At the same time, the number of pirates suddenly increased. It can be said that all this is One Piece Roger's fault. Even Kuina was stunned. That terrifying One Piece. This name is much louder than the world's greatest swordsman that he pursues. If such a person is resurrected, the world will probably be shaken." Orochimaru said nonchalantly, "Evil? The people resurrected by me using the art of reincarnation from dirty soil are completely under my control." He admired his father more and more, because his father actually taught him such a powerful ninjutsu. But he also knew that Roger's resurrection would definitely cause the sea to shake. It is One Piece Roger, after all, that might make his father angry. But he couldn't resist the temptation of this kind of puppet. Such combat power is really quite interesting. Nami Nochi was shocked. "Are you actually under control? Minato's family is too powerful. It's really becoming more and more mysterious and curious. The sea actually hides such a powerful family." Even Kuina was shocked to be able to control One Piece Roger. Then he should be under control now. I have never heard of such a magical ability in the sea before. She didn't know what to think. In fact, what happened today shocked her greatly. Not only has my soul returned to this world, but One Piece's soul will also return to this world soon. It's not a true resurrection, so it's just the return of the soul. She can clearly remember what happened during her lifetime. Nami was completely shocked. What kind of family is this? Where exactly? Minato asked, seeing Nami's expression. "Sister Nami, what's wrong with you? Are you shocked? My family is very powerful." Nami was speechless. Of course she was shocked. Even One Piece Roger would become the fighting force of the Watergate family. She hesitated before asking, "Minato, where's your family? What family is it? Can you tell me? If not, forget it." No Kigo and Kuina, who was reincarnated in the dirt, also looked over. Both of them are curious about what kind of family this is that can control One Piece Roger to become their own family's fighting force. It must be a particularly terrifying family. This may be the most terrifying secret in the entire sea. Minato was stunned for a moment when he heard Nami's sister's words. Even Sister Nami still hesitated because her father had ordered her children not to reveal their family name. She looked at Brother Snake. "Is this okay?" Orochimaru said expressionlessly. "Since I am my future baby mother, of course I can go with her to the family island this time. Anyway, if their father hadn't accepted them, their memories could still be erased." After Minato heard this, he thought it made sense and said with a smile, "Sister Nami, my family is located on an island in the windless zone of the Great Seaway. My family is the Astria family, and my full name is Minato Astria." Orochimaru also introduced himself. "My full name is Orochimaru Astria." Both are proud of their families. That's natural. Their family is the most secretive family in the sea, although they usually don't show off. That was just my father's order to hide the family. Nami, no Kigo, and Kuina have a certain understanding. I have never heard of any family located in the windless zone. No wonder its reputation has faded. Almost no ships can cross the windless zone. There is no wind there, making it difficult for a sailboat to sail. There are also many Poseidon species, which can be said to be an extremely dangerous place. It is indeed a very mysterious family. It seems that there are really many secrets in the sea. Orochimaru looked at Minato now. By the way, how did you get out? Did you go directly through the windless zone? Even Nami looked shocked. Did Minato cross the windless zone and reach the East China Sea? This shocked her even more than when she killed Eren. If a small boat sails in a windless zone, there is a high probability that it will be swallowed by Poseidon species. There are only so many Poseidon species there. Minato recalled his experience of crossing the windless zone and nodded. Yes, it was dangerous at that time. Many big fish jumped out of the water and wanted to eat me. Fortunately, I used the flying thunder god technique to teleport with the boat. Thrilling and exciting. Nami no Chigao Kuina is stunned. Do you actually find it thrilling? This is such a dangerous scene. Even if it's just a second away, you may be buried in the belly of the fish. Kuina was really surprised that this little girl who was a head shorter than herself was so strong and could actually cross the windless zone safely. What kind of ability is that flying thunder god's technique to be able to teleport? This is really a mysterious family. It seems that I can truly be resurrected. I just have a little question. Why did you resurrect yourself? Even Orochimaru was shocked. His sister's ability to use the flying thunder god was really perfect. It really suits this ninjutsu very well. But he still needed to warn him. Minato, if you come out in the future, don't directly cross the calm wind and take it to the East China Sea. Instead, we should first go to the nearest great waterway and then go to the East China Sea through the Upside Down Mountain. This route is much safer. Although he also has the ability to pass through the windless zone, that is to summon a giant snake. But even if the psychic beast he summons is much stronger than the Poseidon type, then he will be very embarrassed. Who knows how many Poseidon species there are in the windless zone? So he took the safer route. He was a little scared thinking about this. This guy Minato's route is really too dangerous. God knows how many times I have used the flying thunder god technique. If anything dangerous happened, I would not be able to be hung up by my father. Minato saw his brother's expression and knew he was wrong. Okay, brother, let's go with him this time. Next time I come to the East China Sea for my family, I will know the route. Orochimaru felt relieved after hearing this. It seems that the little girl is still very sensible. The boat then accelerated towards Rog Town. Of course, Orochimaru can't wait to resurrect One Piece Roger. Chapter 47, Just Let Me Go One Day Later. A fast-moving boat appeared on the sea. On it was a young man with short black hair and white clothes, with 2 green tears on his face and a sword at his waist. Standing quietly on the boat just turned on its own without wind. Suddenly, he saw 2 people on a small boat in the distance. The indifferent expression became a little looser. Finally found my sister. I had previously asked a group of pirates to find out where my sister was, and then set out with all my strength to find Koko Nishi Village. Unexpectedly, I was told to go to Shimatsuki Village. I felt depressed. I was looking for a new place again. I had no idea where it was, but now I was so lucky that I happened upon it. The driver of the boat opposite is, of course, Nami. Her navigation skills are the best, so she naturally takes over this responsibility. Then he saw the man on the boat approaching quickly and was a little surprised. She then woke up Minato, who was sleeping in Nokigo's arms. Minato is really a little guy. He likes to lie in Nokigo's arms. Minato, wake up. That person can't be your brother, right? She heard Minato say that. One of them was named Ulquiorra. This appearance was so similar to the one Minato described. The most important thing is this indifferent temperament, which looks a bit scary, and you can tell at a glance that he is not someone to be trifled with. Most likely, he is Minato's brother. Minato once said that her brother could cut off Poseidons with one sword. Orochimaru, who was also sleeping soundly, woke up with a start. The golden pupil stood up and looked at the figure on the small boat in the distance. It's really this brother. This brother rarely goes to sea. Could it be that he was sent by his father? In that case, things would be a bit bad. I don't know what my father's attitude is. It might not be a big deal if I sneak out, but Minato is following me and I have a headache. Minato also woke up in a daze and opened his eyes. There was a smile on his face and he shouted happily. It's really my brother. Kuina looked curiously at the man who was getting closer and closer. He was older than herself and seemed to be a master with a sword. Much stronger than her. That's how Kuina feels. The boy opposite looked like a master. It's completely natural, not pretended. After a while, Ulquiorra arrived in a small boat. Minato asked happily, "Brother, how did you find us?" You must know that if she went to sea without the help of Sister Nami, even if she knew Brother Snake's destination, Shimatsuki village is also difficult to find. The East China Sea is so huge that she doesn't know any of these places. Ulquiorra said calmly, "I learned about your whereabouts from a group of pirates." Nami asked in surprise, "Are those pirates the Straw Hat Pirates?" Only those people know where they and others are going. Ulquiorra nodded, remembering that there seemed to be one person in the group wearing a straw hat. Then he turned to look at Minato. "Who are these people?" Minato introduced happily. "This is Sister Nami and Sister Nuikigo. This is the baby mother I'm looking for." Nami no Chiko blushed a little. "Is this how you introduce yourself?" I always feel a little embarrassed. It was as if he had been abducted. Obviously, they are all voluntary now. Ulquiorra's indifferent expression was a bit dull, this little girl. Forget it. He doesn't care about this kind of thing. Minato continued to ask Brother Wu, "Is there a green-haired man on that small boat who wants to challenge you for a kendo duel? Have you knocked him down?" Ulquiorra nodded. "There is indeed a guy with green hair who asked me to compete in swordsmanship. He is quite weak. For your sake, I agreed." Minato looked like that was indeed the case. "But you didn't hurt him, right?" Nami also became concerned. Although her friendship with Zoro is very shallow, she doesn't want her former partner to be fatally injured. Ulquiorra said calmly, "Don't worry, I didn't hurt them. I defeated them and left." Nami felt relieved instantly. Kuina was stunned. They should be talking about Zoro. She talked to Nami on the ship. It's now 10 years since her death. So this guy Zoro is completely grown up. I never expected to go to sea and become a pirate. Before that, I became a famous pirate hunter in the East China Sea. He even dared to fight against the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye. It really suits Zoro's style. Even if he could really be resurrected, he would have been delayed for 10 years. Zoro is undoubtedly much stronger than himself now. He still looks like a child. At this time, Ulquiorra looked at Orochimaru, who was silent, and his expression became even more indifferent. "Orochimaru, do you realize your mistake?" Orochimaru is very helpless. This is his brother with virtual abilities, and his strength is much stronger than him. "I know I was wrong." Minato's expression turned bad, and he said hurriedly, "This is all because I followed Brother Snake out without permission. It's none of Brother Snake's business. My father won't be very angry, right?" Ulquiorra looked at her and confirmed, "Of course you are angry. With your strength and your character, it is too early to go to sea. Please come back with me obediently, so as not to worry your father." Nami feels the same way. Minato was indeed easily deceived. Although he was very strong, it would be really bad if he met another woman instead of her. If you are cheated, you will probably have to count the money. But what she didn't know was that even though Minato was a child, he still had a very good eye for people. How could he be deceived so easily? When Minato heard his brother's words, of course he didn't want to. "No, I still want to go to Rogtown with my brother." That was the execution place of One Piece, a place she had never been to. She also wants to see the powerful combat power of One Piece Roger summoned by her brother. Ulquiorra frowned. "Obey. This is my father's order." Minato hid directly behind Okigo. "No, just let me go. After this trip, I will go back obediently." Ulquiorra looked helpless at Minato like this. "Okay, I have to go back after that." "Orochimaru, Minato is under your protection. If something happens, you should know the consequences." Orochimaru responded quickly. "Don't worry, I will." Minato was a little happy that he didn't put the blame entirely on him after the accident. After Ulquiorra heard this, he turned around and controlled his boat to leave. With Orochimaru's protection, Minato should be fine. Chapter 48 Toripole. After Ulquiorra left, the small boat set off towards Rogtown again. Orochimaru also has an extra thought, which is of course to protect his sister and never let her get hurt. If you get injured, you will definitely be the one to die. The younger sister is not only favored by her father, but also the most favored among her brothers and sisters. At that time, those brothers and sisters may cause trouble for me. And among his brothers and sisters, even if he resurrected One Piece Roger, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with it, because some of them are forces from another system, even above the ninja system. There is also the Shinigami system and the virtual system. It was very terrifying, but it was a pity that I could not inherit that kind of power. But he thinks ninjutsu is very good. Of course, it's not impossible for ninjutsu to achieve power comparable to theirs if they practice to the extreme. Obtaining the samsara, I can rival that kind of power. The boat set off quickly, and with Nami's navigation, the direction was absolutely correct. One day later, a huge pirate ship appeared on the sea, with a clown skull flag hanging on it. It is the skull flag of the 7 warlords of the sea Doflamingo pirates. After passing the Upside-Down Mountain and entering the East China Sea, this is the weakest sea. Not only are the pirates weak, but even the Marines are weak. To defeat these weak pirates, naturally, you don't need to use a powerful Marine. The goal of this trip is naturally to come to the East China Sea to search for some female slaves and return them. After all, the Don Quixote family is in the business of human trafficking, and this is a purchase trip. It should go as smoothly as usual. The leader was none other than Torbol, a member of the Don Quixote family who wore a quilt-like cloak, held a cane with a plum blossom symbol, and wore a pair of small sunglasses. His bounty is 99 million belly. The bounty is 5 times that of Aaron, the great pirate in the East China Sea, who is 18 million belly. It can be seen that it is powerful and can be said to be unbeatable in the East China Sea. Of course, the head of the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo, is one of the Shichibukai, an illegal pirate recognized by the world government, and has been given special rights. Normally, Marine would have nothing to do with him, but Torbol decided to be careful and not make it look too ugly, arousing Marine's anger. Of course, it's also because the East China Sea log town is commanded by Colonel Smoker from Marine headquarters. This is not a simple guy, possessing the ability of the Logia Devil Fruit. Naturally, slaves cannot be plundered in the sea near Rog Town. This guy is very rigid, and I'm afraid he won't even give the Don Quixote family face. There's really no point in fighting with such a person. Anyway, the East China Sea is very big, and there are places to purchase goods everywhere. Just stay away. No one can stop it at all. As long as you have clean hands and feet, you can build 2 or 3 villages, and these will be regarded as the work of local pirates. Anyway, after Roger started the era of great pirates, there were so many pirates. Pirates attacked villages from time to time. I have to say that Roger really helped the Don Quixote family a lot. The more chaotic this world is, the better. Once you succeed, you can go back safely. Naturally, no one dares to check. Not even Smoker is qualified. After returning to the Sabaody Islands, these slaves can be sold, which is another considerable income. In a cabin, Torbol looked at the map of the East China Sea that he had already prepared, trying to find a few large villages to plunder the population. The cabin door opened. A subordinate walked into the cabin and reported, "Sir Torbol, there's a small boat right in front of you, and there are 2 very decent women on it. I wonder if you should do anything to them." Although he also knew the purpose of this trip, he was just a soldier. If he didn't dare to make the decision without permission, he would naturally have to report it as soon as possible. Don Quixote's family has a clear hierarchy, and he doesn't dare to make decisions without authorization, even if this is a very good opportunity. Torbol had a smile on his face after hearing this. "How lucky are you on this trip?" As soon as I arrived in the East China Sea, goods were delivered to my door. I stood up and walked out of the cabin. I want to see how upright these people are. The subordinates followed behind and said flatteringly, "Sir, I guarantee that you will be satisfied. He looks very spot on, and he is also very young." Torbol became even more interested. It seemed that his luck was really good. Having been with his subordinates for such a long time, he still knows the requirements, and the goods must of course be of good quality. Those who are not good can only be treated as slaves and cannot be sold for much money. But the right ones can be sold to big pirates, nobles, and wealthy businessmen, and even the celestial dragons. It can be sold at a high price. After a while, Torbol came to the deck with this subordinate. The subordinate wisely took out the telescope and handed it to Torbol so that he could see more clearly. Torbol took it and started looking at it. He couldn't help but say happily, "This young girl with orange hair and wearing a blue and white top is really good-looking and very energetic. The other dark-skinned woman wearing a blue top is also very good-looking and looks completely mature. Although they have dark skin, their faces are very good. Some people in the sea like women with this skin color. These two women can undoubtedly be sold at a very good price. There's also a little girl with blonde hair on the boat who looks a bit heroic. Of course, this lowly can be sold for a good price. Some people just like this. There is no shortage of buyers. It can be sold to some noble pirates who like lowly, some of them just like this. In a sense, this is also high-end goods. Of course, there is also a long-haired boy who looks very good. Some ladies like this. There is another girl who looks lifeless. Is there any scar on her face? Such a child has no value. He took out the telescope and admired. Very good. You did a very good job. The four people above are all high-end goods. I will record this credit for you." Then he immediately ordered people to sail to the small boat in the distance. On the boat at this moment, Orochimaru was also excited. "We will be able to reach Roger Town soon. I wonder if Roger's body and ashes can be found." Of course, he hoped that Roger's cemetery would be in Roger Town. However, he also had to take protective measures, because if Roger was resurrected, he might not obey him obediently because of his one-piece spirit. Therefore, preventive measures must be taken as early as possible, that is, to control it, and even erase his soul if necessary. It is also quite good to use it as a puppet in battle. Whether it's an inexhaustible physical strength or an indestructible body, it's very terrifying. Chapter 49, Spiritualism. Nami, who suddenly steered the boat forward, noticed the original situation. A pirate ship is approaching us. After Orochimaru heard this, his golden pupils narrowed. That's a pirate ship with a skull flag hanging on it. What is it if it's not a pirate? Of course, these people would not have good intentions when approaching themselves. That's really exciting. He also has the psychic beast giant snake, which is yet to show its strength in the outside world. Then you can put it out and try it out. Nami felt a little frightened when she saw Orochimaru's dangerous aura. Orochimaru is really scarier than Minato. No wonder Minato usually looks very innocent and cute, but when he moves, he shows no mercy. It turns out that she learned it from these brothers of hers. But it doesn't matter. Walking on the sea, if you are too naive, you may be the only one who gets hurt. She had nothing to worry about now about the giant pirate ship arriving. In the past, I might have been worried, but now I feel like it's nothing. After all, Minato and her brother were there. Both of them are quite strong and are not afraid of any pirates at all. The father of Kuina last time was probably a great swordsman. After all, he was able to wield such a terrifying flying slash. There is no doubt that the great sword has first-class combat power in this world. Orochimaru was even able to escape safely from the hands of that kind old swordsman. It shows that his strength is very strong. At least among the pirates in the East China Sea, no one can compete with him. After a while, the huge pirate ship came completely close and then stopped. Torbol stood on the deck and looked at these fine goods. The more he looked at them, the better they looked, and the closer they looked, the better they looked. These four guys are definitely high-end goods. As long as they dress up a little bit, they can definitely greatly increase their worth. This is the auction house method. By increasing the value of the product, you can sell it at a higher price. After all, the majority of the auction house's profits are made by wealthy merchants and nobles, and they don't care about the price when they pay. Tens of millions or even 100 million Baileys can be taken out casually. With a lewd smile on his face, he looked at Nami and Nokigo on the boat. "Would you two ladies be willing to come aboard our ship?" In his eyes, two women taking 3 children out to sea are really too big-hearted, but that's how big-hearted it is. Otherwise, how could he be so lucky to obtain 4 excellent products? Nami immediately refused. "I don't want a pirate's ship." Torbol did not feel any disappointment, but burst into laughter. "I'm afraid it's not up to you. I am Torbol, the top leader of the Don Quixote family. You can't run away. Become a commodity in the auction house." In his eyes, there are just 2 little women and 3 children. How can they get away with this? He couldn't run away at all. so he was very happy that he could bring a good product to the family again. Nami was stunned for a moment. The Don Quixote family? By the way, she remembered, isn't that clown flag the symbol of the 7 warlords of the Sea Doflamingo family? How could they appear here? They are one of the major forces on the Great Channel. Minato was a little confused. Sister Nami, is the Don Quixote family strong? Toribol was a little surprised when he heard this and laughed. You people in the East China Sea are so ignorant that you haven't even heard of Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai seas? That's right. After all, it's a rural place. Nami asked aloud, Don Quixote family, did Doflamingo come in person? Toribol was a little stunned. What did he mean by this? Of course the young master is not here. You don't think you can escape from me, the top cadre, do you? The people on the pirate ship had a mocking smile on their faces. If these people can escape, I will cut off their heads. It's just 2 women. What kind of fighting power can they have? Are those 3 children still capable of fighting? Yes, even if there are some talented penultimate kids. It can't be in the East China Sea, but in other seas. But even if there are other talented children from the high, they will never be able to beat Toribol. Toribol is one of the top cadres, with penultimate combat power. The bounty is as high as 99 million belly. His devil fruit ability can make powerful people unable to move at all after being struck by it. Nami was completely relieved. Since Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai, is not coming, there is no pressure anymore. After all, Doflamingo is one of the great pirates of the Great Channel, and his strength is very terrifying, comparable to that of a great swordsman, or even stronger. She touched Minato's head and said, the only one who is strong in the Don Quixote family is Doflamingo. Others are no threat at all. This was her confidence in Minato and his brother. Toribol was completely angry. The people from Xiaodongai actually dared to look down on the top cadres of Don Quixote. You guys are really arrogant. Come here, arrest these people, and let them understand what cruelty is. Immediately, several people jumped off the boat to arrest Nami and others. In their eyes, they're strong men. When facing 2 women and children, is it necessary to use firearms? Of course, it's impossible to use firearms. This is a good product that Mr. Toribol considers good. If it is damaged, they will be the ones who should be punished. Orochimaru had a dangerous smile on his face. It's really asking for death. Today I will let you taste the power of my psychic beast. He formed a seal with his hands, then slammed it onto the surface of the ship, and a huge magic circle appeared. Then a huge cloud of white smoke was produced. A huge snake appeared out of thin air. Its huge body is even much taller than a pirate ship. Judging from a body shape, it is more than 100 meters long. The pirates were all a little shocked. What kind of monster is this? Poseidon type. How can there be such a big Poseidon in the East China Sea? You're kidding. That's not the point. Why did this big guy suddenly appear? They didn't see the monster appear at all. It seemed to appear suddenly. But now they are standing next to the pirate ship, and there is no room for them not to be afraid. The destructive power of the Poseidon class is very strong. If they launch an attack, many people on their pirate ship will die. Even Toribol was horrified. Could it be this boy who did it? Is this the ability to summon the Poseidon class? Never heard of such ability. But it's just a Poseidon. He looked at the messy subordinates around him and scolded. It's just Poseidon. I can handle it. Chapter 50 Total Destruction. Nami no Kigo Kuina on the ship was also shocked. Is this Orochimaru's special ability? It was really amazing. They were all frightened when they saw such a monster. Fortunately, it was not here to deal with them. Nami just felt happy in her heart at this moment. These pirates are gone. Who dared them to take advantage of themselves and others? These legal pirates have done countless evil things. Under the attack of such a terrifying giant snake, it should disappear quickly. Orochimaru laughed when he heard that the other party did not put his psychic hand in his eyes. Don't compare the weak Poseidons to my psychic beasts. They are completely different creatures. Compared with the Poseidon type, the giant snake has more powerful abilities and is a creature with chakra. In his opinion, the Poseidons in this world only have strange powers and no special abilities. Toribol asked with an ugly expression on his face. What do you mean by that? He felt a little uneasy. This monster, called the Psychic Beast, gave him a different feeling from the previous Poseidon type. More powerful. It even made him feel afraid. Orochimaru didn't explain anymore. There was no need to reveal too much to the dying person. At this time, the giant snake spit out human words. Orochimaru, why did you summon me? He was very dissatisfied and had previously allowed himself to fight with his older siblings. Is this a joke? It is controlled as soon as you meet it. It is completely controlled. The eyes are very scary. There are others who cannot withstand that kind of slash even with their own defense. It hurt like hell. Orochimaru said with a smile, "Don't worry. We are just dealing with these ordinary people and kill them all." Toribol was completely shocked when he heard the psychic beast speaking human language. Could it be a Poseidon that ate a devil fruit? Otherwise, how can one speak human words? But even so, why is it so difficult to eliminate the Poseidon class? This feeling of fear must be an illusion. The giant snake looked at the humans on the boat at this time. There were many, many of them, and these were all delicious food. Orochimaru, I shouldn't have any problem eating these humans, right? Orochimaru said coldly, "If you want to eat it, then go ahead and eat it, but when father knows about it, I won't plead for you." When this giant snake was summoned, it wanted to eat people before it would do anything. His father immediately beat him up. Maybe my father doesn't like psychic beasts eating people. The giant snake thought of the terrifying man. Both eyes showed a look of fear. Have no choice. Okay, I don't have to do it if I don't want to. Let's finish the work and go back early. Toribol was furious when he heard what the big snake said. He actually regards them as food, just a Poseidon. Others are afraid of him, but he is not afraid of him. Although this boy said it was not Poseidon type, but he said it wasn't, right? At most, you have to eat a devil fruit to be able to speak human words. Do you really have any special abilities? The facts are before our eyes. He roared, "Let me shoot him to death and then capture these people." Immediately, some subordinates took out artillery, then lit the fuse and fired the shells at the Poseidon. Suddenly, there was a constant roar. It is obvious that such a giant snake cannot be solved with just a few shells. At the same time, someone else took out a long gun and pulled the trigger, firing bullets with bang, 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 which also hit the giant snake. These weapons of theirs are all sophisticated weapons of the beast pirates, and they are extremely powerful. This giant snake will definitely be killed directly. The giant snake was violently attacked, felt a little pain all over, and roared angrily. "You humans dare to hurt me, damn it. It has already shown murderous intent." The huge tail curled up, flew into the air, and then slammed towards the pirate ship. Many pirates were shocked when they saw this scene. How could it be possible? After the explosion, smoke dissipated, the giant snake was not seriously injured at all. It only left some traces of gunpowder on its hard scales. This defense is too strong. If the attack just hit other Poseidons, the weak Poseidons would be killed directly, and even the powerful Poseidons would be seriously injured, with blood dripping from the wounds, and then run away. It's not like the person in front of him, who becomes even more ferocious after being attacked. What kind of monster is this? Toribol was also extremely surprised. Is this really a monster? Isn't it really a Poseidon? If that huge snake tail falls on this pirate ship, the pirate ship will definitely be cut in half. This blow must not be allowed to fall, because he is also a devil fruit user. If he falls into the water, he will die immediately. He directly activated his devil fruit ability. A thick brown, moist mucus oozed from the nose, and then the mucus turned into a huge white blade, which shot toward the huge snake tail at a terrifying speed. The snot takes away the sword. His attack was much more powerful than the artillery attack. He hoped to be able to cut off the giant snake. But even such a slash could not break the giant snake's defense. It only made the snakes roar even more angrily. The force of the tail whipping the pirate ship became even more powerful. Toribol was shocked. How can the body of the Poseidon class be so strong? This has never been seen before on the Poseidon class. Is this really the Poseidon class? What kind of ghostly creature is this psychic beast? At this moment, the huge snake's tail had hit the middle of the pirate ship. A cracking sound sounded. The pirate ship brutally broke into two halves. Countless pirates fell on the sea, struggled, and panicked. Of course, some were directly smashed to death by the huge snake tail. As the pirate ship shattered and sank into the water's surface began to roll. Nami left early by boat. She looked at this scene in surprise. The destructive power was really strong. Next, several people on the boat saw an even more horrifying scene. The giant snake not only destroyed the pirate ship, but also killed the pirates, biting them to death one by one. There were cries and shouts from the sea, but the few people on board didn't have any sympathy, because these pirates want to use them as auction items. Isn't that human trafficking? How miserable the outcome will be in the future. 10 minutes later, the sea calmed down completely, leaving only some broken boards, and the pirate ship was completely destroyed. The sea surface is also covered with bright red areas, which are dyed red by blood. These pirates were all wiped out. Of course, there are still corpses floating on the sea that were bitten by giant snakes. It didn't dare to eat these people. The giant snake still remembered what the scary person said. If you dare to eat people, I'll kill you. Of course it doesn't want to die. After doing all this, the giant snake swam over. Orochimaru had a smile on his face. Well done. The giant snake snorted coldly. The matter is done. I'm leaving. Not only did it take a beating, but its efforts were in vain. Then it turned into a ball of smoke and disappeared. Chapter 51 Rogtown Nami, no Kigo, and Kuina were even more surprised when they saw this scene. It actually disappeared with a bang, which is really a magical ability. If it weren't for the scene we just saw, there would also be the pirate ship broken into pieces in the distance. They will all wonder if there is something wrong with their eyes. Minato's older brother Orochimaru is indeed very powerful. This time he killed the top leader of the Don Quixote family. Nami is not at all worried about the 7 warlords of the Sea Doflamingo's revenge. In the past, I would have been extremely worried and afraid of the revenge of these big shots. After all, the Don Quixote family is one of the great forces in the Grand Line, and Doflamingo is not comparable to ordinary great pirates. But with Orochimaru's terrifying abilities, let alone the abilities of Minato's other brothers, it's too strong. In terms of combat power, it is probably much stronger than the Don Quixote family. Nami thought that there must be a reward for the top leader of the Don Quixote family. I wonder if I can get the bounty by picking up the body and taking it to the Marine base. The top cadres must be very valuable. But looking at such a tragic situation, she was very sick to her stomach. Before, she only stole pirate treasures. She didn't hunt pirates, and she didn't have the ability to hunt pirates. After thinking about it for a while, she finally gave it up. Although she loved money, Torbel's body was not easy to get rid of. There's Minato on the ship, and I don't know if she can bear it. Forget it. At this time, Minato looked at his snake brother in surprise. This is necromancy. It can summon creatures from other worlds. She didn't have any psychic skills. Just the flying thunder god technique, Rasengan, had already taken her a lot of time to learn. Even if she is extremely talented, she still needs time to learn. Moreover, her father asked her to learn the art of flying thunder god carefully. After all, it is time and space ninjutsu. If you don't learn it well, the danger is still very serious. It may fall into other spaces. Orochimaru realized that his sister did not know necromancy. This was a very normal situation. After all, she was too young and had no time to be exposed to this kind of ninjutsu. He said with a smile, "Actually, you can ask your father to find a psychic beast for you, and then sign a contract with the psychic beast to summon it. With his father's ability, he can easily find the psychic beast. If you want to give Minato a psychic beast, it must be powerful. Only in this way can Minato be protected, and powerful psychic beasts are undoubtedly very arrogant and even cruel. It's not that easy to sign a contract, but my father could have used force to get them to agree." And Minato's eyes lit up. "Then after I go back this time, I will ask my father to give me a psychic beast. After all, I brought Sister Nami and Sister Nuakigo back this time." These words awakened Orochimaru. "I wonder if I can find 1 or 2 pretty women in Rogtown. Of course, people like No Kigo and Nami are required, otherwise my father will not like them. This time I not only want to resurrect Roger, but also collect beautiful women. After all, these are the last few towns. Of course, there is a town on Upside Down Mountain. However, there are very few quality women there. You have to try your best to find it in Rogtown. No Kigo, Nami, and Kuina had a conversation, and they understood. It turned out to be spiritualism. Is it really magical? Can it summon creatures from other worlds? Orochimaru shouted to Nami at this time. Nami, let's sail the boat. Nami hasn't married her father yet, so naturally she can't be considered a baby mother. After hearing this, Nami immediately set sail without any hesitation. After half a day, they successfully arrived at the coast of Rogtown. After parking the boat, Nami, no Kigo, and Minato are all preparing to go sightseeing in Rogtown on the island. Kuina herself is also curious about the place of execution of One Piece. She had never been here before when she was little. She looked at several people. Can I go too? After all, she is just a dead person now and is not truly resurrected. Minato was definitely authentic. Of course you can, right? Brother Snake, this is someone about the same age as herself, and she still sympathizes with Kuina a little. Orochimaru nodded. Sure. Although his father valued this swordsman genius very much, according to his observation, he did not have much fighting power, so he naturally did not take it as his own. This is just to make my father happy, and he himself had important things to do. That is to find the grave of One Piece Roger and take out his remaining body parts. Minato said happily, Okay, Brother Snake. The other three people also knew that he was going to find One Piece Roger's grave. The King of the Sea is probably going to be resurrected. Then there will be huge waves on the sea. But with the ability of Minato's family, it should be able to solve it. None of them felt that they could stop each other. Nami no Chiko is just a weak woman. Minato took Sister Nami and got off the boat, followed by no Kigo and Kuina. The two also wanted to look around and do some sightseeing. Just after the four of them passed by the crowded crowd, several passers-by noticed the little girl with golden hair, and their eyes were instantly surprised. It turned out to be the pirate with a bounty of 10 million Baileys, and he even killed Colonel Marine. It's unbelievable that he can be so cruel at such a young age. But being brave enough to come to Rogtown is really arrogant. This place is guarded by Marine Colonel Smoker. Any pirate who comes will be brought to justice. One of them walked quickly towards a Marine base on the island. Gotta break the news to Smoker. In that case, he will also get a reward, although not as much as the bounty. Nami and the other four did not notice such change. After all, there are too many people on the island. This is a very prosperous town in the East China Sea. Of course, Nami and the others also need to replenish supplies. Everything they brought out before is almost used up. Chapter 52, Zoro meets Kuina, the ordinary man who saw Minato.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.